Welcome to part one of the Synod's full set review of Guilds of Ravnica, the latest Magic expansion. Fans of our previous set reviews will notice a few differences this time around. We will be giving separate scores to each card based on flavor, utility, and design, which may end up being largely the same as the previous two categories combined.
I think they'll be different.
Okay. Any preliminary matters before we get started, Diane?
Well, we could introduce ourselves to the viewers.
As you wish.
Yeah, I'm Diane from the Synod, and joining me is Vincent, also from the Synod.
And that's all there is to tell about us.
Yeah, so we're going to be going color by color here, and I was thinking we would start off with white this time.
That works for me. What's the first card we have here?
Blade Instructor. 2 and a white for a 3/1 human soldier, and it has Mentor.
What is Mentor?
It's the Boros mechanic. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with lesser power.
Okay, so to a large extent, what we have to say about this card is going to be our initial review of the Mentor mechanic, I think.
Well, there's also the decision to put a 3/1.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, you want this to be on creatures with higher power because that makes it easier for you to have targets.
Yes, that's true. A 3/1 for 2 and a white is not really a great deal here.
No, white gets that for 2 mana. I'm hearing a little echo.
Uh-oh.
I think that's good. I'm not hearing it when I'm not talking. So I'm not hearing it at all now. Anyways, that's fixed. So as I was saying, white gets 3/1s for just 2 mana fairly easily. But I think this is going to turn out to be a pretty relevant ability.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to likely get at least one +1/+1 counter out of this. Likely only one, I guess.
Right, one toughness means...
Yeah, that it's likely to die when it attacks, especially if you're in a situation to benefit from repeated +1/+1 counters. Your opponent's not likely to let that happen, but it's probably going to trade with something if they want to take it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about flavor here for a second. Flavor seems on for the Mentor ability with this.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. She has a sword, teaches other people how to use it. Flavor text, watch carefully. The gap between death and victory is thinner than your blade. Sounds like something a blade instructor would say, right?
They're always saying crazy stuff like that. It's not fair, but I feel like I would like this card more if mentor were not a keyword. Like if it were just, here's a teacher and they help out your other, because I know I haven't looked at the rest of this set yet. Maybe we should let the audience in on that so far. Diane has reviewed the entire set. I have not seen what's coming up, but I am predicting that the mentor keyword ability is going to show up on a lot of cards where it has no flavorful connection really, and it's going to dilute the impact of it appearing on a card like this where it seems sensible.
Oh, but what if they are all flavored as teachers?
Well, I guess that's something. Although, then you've got just a different problem about why does this set have so many teachers in it?
Well, specifically, why does the Boros Guild have so many teachers? I think the idea here is that that guild is training people up for battle.
All right.
Even more than they were before.
Well, we'll take it one card at a time.
Yeah.
I'll give this card a B+ for flavor. What do you think?
I don't think I want to go that high. I mean, the flavor's good here, but it's pretty straightforward. There's not really anything special going on. It's just, I mean, this is kind of the flavor of the mentor ability.
Yes. I'm giving this card full credit for the mentor ability at this point on this card.
Fair enough.
The flavor scale is brand new, so it might be a little hard to get our bearings in terms of where things are going to land.
Yeah, I'll say B minus.
Okay. Now, how about utility
This
as a
art's
card?
good. That should go into it.
Yeah, art's fine.
Now, something worth noting here, this card is for the Boros mechanic, and the artist's last name is Boros.
Is that just a coincidence?
Yeah.
The first name is Zoltan. Isn't there a card named Zoltan?
No.
No. Well, it would have been a coincidence if there were, I guess. I don't think this is a constructed card. I don't think there's going to be a mentor deck in constructed. So we're talking about, are you going to play this in limited?
I don't think this card's very exciting and limited.
I think most of the time
playable, probably, right?
Yeah. Yes. And if there are a lot of cards that really, really reward you for having +1 counters, I guess that could make it better. But I think generally you'd probably rather have a 3/1 for 2 than a 3/1 for 3 with the mentor ability.
Well, so I have to assume there are going to be cards in Boros that make you really want mentor cards, because I mean, why else do they have the mechanic in this?
Sure.
Which is why I think this is going to be reasonably playable and limited.
All right. Well, I think it took us about one card into this set review before I realized why it would have been beneficial to have reviewed the set ahead of time instead of doing it on the fly. But
no, I think this is going well. I think you made the right call. All
Great.
right, so let's move on to our next card, Bounty Agent, our first rare in this review.
All right, Bounty Agent is a 2/2 human soldier for 1 and a white. It has vigilance, and you can tap it and sacrifice Bounty Agent to destroy target legendary permanent that's an artifact, creature, or enchantment.
Kind of awkward wording.
When did they say? I guess they didn't want to say legendary artifact or legendary creature or legendary enchantment.
Right. And if they say legendary artifact, creature, or enchantment, then you think, oh, it's any creature, any enchantment, or just a legendary artifact.
Yeah.
So this rules out you can't get legendary lands or legendary planeswalkers, which are basically all planeswalkers now.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's hard to say how useful this is going to be without knowing what the popular legendary things in the environment are going to be. I would guess that in limited, you're not going to be bumping into a ton of legendary artifacts and enchantments. But I mean, as far as limited goes, this is a perfectly playable card on its face. Even ignoring that, that's just kind of a bonus on top of a 2/2 for 2 with vigilance, which isn't amazing, but it's perfectly playable.
Yeah. Yeah, so Flavor here is doing some interesting things. I guess this bounty agent is always keeping an eye out for a bounty, and that's why it has vigilance. It's looking out for things.
I think you're right. I mean, so the idea
is a very vigilant bounty agent.
Yeah. So the bounty agent is, I guess, like a bounty hunter, and the idea is it's looking for the big name bounties, and so that's why it's going after legendary things. It's not clear why it has to sacrifice itself to destroy them.
Right. This is a bounty hunter who wants to take on difficult assignments, but dies on them.
Yeah, but still manages.
So this is someone who can assassinate an important person, destroy a really special magic object, and stop people from searching for Escanta. The enchantment part is weird here. That doesn't really make sense for a bounty agent.
Do you think it would have just been too powerful if it could kill planeswalkers? Do you think that's the problem there?
Maybe. Yeah, probably would.
Okay.
But that would fit the flavor more closely than enchantments or artifacts, really. That's bounty. Like if the bounty agent were stealing an artifact, that's something you might hire them for. But just destroying an artifact.
Yeah, I gotta say this isn't a very good flavor fit here. There's the
I mean,
bounty
they're
hunter.
trying.
Yeah, I mean, you can see kind of what their idea was, and the thing is, it's too strong to be a reusable ability, so they need you to get rid of it. So they make you sacrifice it, but then it doesn't make any sense as a bounty hunter.
I'm also
So,
not sure. I'm not sure why this is a white card. If the idea is that this is an assassin for hire.
well, maybe that's why they decided, hey, we can't call this like a kamikaze or an assassin, we're just going to call it a bounty agent, so it sounds like a quasi law enforcement official. But yes, yeah, not good.
It's a law enforcement official who only goes to kill the famous people.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a bounty hunter. You get the idea. You got to give a name, that would be like on a wanted poster. They don't just go out and like round up thugs there.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So there's something there. It's just not a good fit.
Yeah. I wish this just said target legendary creature.
Yeah, that would actually be better. It would make it a much worse card, but
especially for constructed, where legendary enchantment is going to matter.
mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why that's there.
Oh man, so how do those things balance out? As far as
I think there's a concept behind this. It's just not great on the details.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so this is where having no set scale makes things difficult. But I think this is significant.
Yeah, this is the debut of our flavor grades set review.
So I guess this is slightly better than a card with just no flavor connections whatsoever. So I guess maybe I'll give this a C+.
It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
C+ sounds reasonable.
Did we give a quality grade on the card above? Like,
yeah.
What did we give it?
I don't know.
I mean, we did for flavor. Did we for?
I'm pretty sure we did.
Okay, great. Whatever it was, I'm sure it was right. As far as as playability goes in limited, I guess I think it's a C+ there too. Maybe just a C.
I think C+. But they've been putting more legendary creatures lately.
Okay. Yeah, C+. It's just fine. Just a fine card.
Yeah.
Now
2 tiers for 2 with some pretty good upside.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And are we supposed to give a third grade now for card design?
Oh, yeah. So on the design here, I think it looks like they wanted to make an answer card for a very specific set of card types, and this was how they did it. So that kind of shows that the design was forced, though.
Well, and here's where we got to try to separate this out from the other categories, because this is, it's a bad design for the flavor, but I think this is a fine card to design to give somebody a playable creature that also answers some threats.
See, I don't think it is. I think it's inelegant for them to have this target legendary permanent that's an artifact, creature, or enchantment line. That's not a natural category.
That's true. Is it?
I'm sure this is fulfilling a need in the constructed environment.
Well, maybe. I don't even know if that's true. Maybe we will find out.
Okay. I mean, not like it can destroy Teferi, so.
Would it have been too strong if it could destroy legendary lands? I mean, it would have been better. Would it have really been?
How many legendary lands are in standard? Not really. I guess all the flip cards from Ixalan.
Yeah. But still, I mean, that gives it a use, but I don't think that makes it too strong.
Wait, not all the flip cards. Some of those turned into non-legendary lands. But regardless, there's some.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, I mean, oh well.
Right.
I see what you're saying. It's not wonderful design because it's a little awkward. The weird category of things you can destroy. I hear you there. And I guess the idea with vigilance is that you get to keep up the tap ability when attacking with it in case you need to destroy something in a hurry, which is okay.
Yeah, you can attack with this, then if they block with the legendary creature, you can still destroy that.
Mm. I think it's a C plus for
No,
that.
it's just C minus.
Okay, it's close enough. We're not too far off from each other there.
All right, our next card is Candlelight Vigil. 3 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets +3/+2 and has vigilance. And as you can see in the art, this is candlelight from magical floating candles.
All right. So from a flavor perspective, there's no clear reason why being on a candlelight vigil would make you bigger and stronger and tougher.
Right.
I
guess the idea there is just having candlelight gives you an advantage in combat. So you can see what's...
I guess you could throw the candles at your opponent.
Okay, so that explains the +3 power. The +2 toughness is because sometimes they'll try to attack you and hit a candle instead.
Yeah, you can just make an armor of candles in front of you. So, I mean, we're looking at a home run in terms of flavor here.
Okay, and the flavor text is Celestia guild mages do not sleep so the rest of the conclave can. It's unclear to me why they do sleep then. Apparently it's not for that reason.
Yeah. Maybe it's some kind of biological necessity. Vigilance is kind of a weird ability, flavor-wise, because, I mean, the name of it and kind of the way it's treated is like to do with heightened awareness or something. Mm-hmm. But that really doesn't match up that well with the idea that the creature can attack and then like still be back in time to block, you know? It's not totally clear what kind of tangible physical traits a creature would have that would allow it to attack without tapping.
Just being really fast. Like they attack over at the opponent's side of the battlefield, and then they run back so quickly that they're able to be up to block.
See, that's what you would think, but that's not the way it works. Or you might think it's something like...
It's never how it's been flavored.
No, that's associated with haste, which is a little strange because that only provides you an advantage like the first round. It's sometimes associated with first strike too, being quick. I mean, you could also imagine if a creature could attack from a distance, like if it could shoot out rays or had a gun or something like that, that it would make sense that it could attack without tapping. But like here, look at this. No. If you look at whoever this person is on this card here, I mean, they're standing.
Who is it? A Celestia guild mage.
She, I think, is just like on top of a tower surrounded by candles. Doesn't give you the impression that she can attack without moving or running over to the bad guy or whatever. I mean,
right, this really looks like somebody who's keeping watch so that then other people will go fight. Although I guess that's the opposite of what the flavor text is trying to convey. Like the real idea with the flavor text is this guild mage is staying up so that everyone else can sleep.
No, give me a second. You better talk and give this one grades. I'll be right back with you.
Okay, so for playability, I don't think this card is very good. I mean, +3/+2 is a lot. I think you need more than this to push it into auras that I'm happy to put in a deck.
Yes, this is bad. The typical problem with auras is that you put it on a creature, the creature dies, and you're out a card, and you spend a bunch of mana on this thing. The cost of this is the same converted mana cost as Divine Transformation. Isn't that what it was called? From like Alpha? Or maybe it was from one of the early expansions. But
maybe.
But like when your card is on par with an enchant creature that nobody used back then you got problems, man. And that was +3/+3. This is +3/+2 in Vigilance, which maybe is better, but I don't think it's better enough.
That's better.
It's probably better.
There's some weird feedback sounds from you.
Nuts. Well, still? Well.
Yeah, still.
God damn it.
I heard myself saying yeah, still a couple seconds after.
Well,
all right, let's see if that's still happening. Oh, yeah, I'm not hearing an echo now, so that's good.
Okay. Flavor on this card is not good. It's not a good card. I don't like
it. Has vigil in the name, so it gives vigilance.
Yeah. Flavor-wise, I'm going to give this a D.
Yeah, the art's kind of nice.
Yeah, I do like the art. If you're doing art grades, I'd give it a good grade there. In terms of playability,
playability is low.
It's in the D range, but what do you think it is? Yeah, D sounds.
I think just straight D.
Okay, sounds good.
And the design grade, there's nothing really interesting here.
No, there's no particular reason for the +3/+2. No reason that goes together well with Vigilance. No, there's nothing good going on here.
Good that the numbers don't match. More often developers give +2/+2 or +3/+3.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a little odd for white to be giving a large power toughness boost with more power than toughness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ever since
not unheard of, but not really the way white normally does this.
I would give
the design.
In terms of design,
Sure. Nobody was excited to have designed this.
No.
All right, our next card is Citywide Bust.
Citywide Bust, a sorcery that costs 1 and 2 white. And it says destroy all creatures with toughness 4 or greater. This is a rare.
Okay, so the idea here is that these Boros soldiers are going around rounding up people, and they can only catch the big ones.
Yeah, is there some reason for that? Why?
Well, let's see the flavor text. Oh, you fellas are gonna love the lockup. Excellent gruel. Very low ceilings.
Hey, Daddy. Do you think this has corn?
So, a lot more about these guilds than I do. Is Boros associated with like a white weenie type strategy?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's something to the idea that Boros is and this isn't even.
You attack with a bunch of small creatures after playing this to get rid of their large late game.
There's something
that can block.
Yeah, there's something to the idea that Boros is the color of hordes of small creatures, fatties.
Yeah. If you're playing a bunch of those 3/1s with Mentor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. With Mentor, eventually creatures do get to pretty high toughness. But I guess if you're mentoring that many times, you've probably already won. Like if it gets to the point where all of your creatures have toughness 4 or greater. So the art represents this as getting people who are just very large giants, I think. So presumably they're easier to arrest because you can see them from a distance. Can't really hide.
Is that really the idea? Is it that
maybe what else could it be?
Well, I just thought it was more that they're like sort of the natural antagonists of the Boros. Like,
okay.
It's just like their enemies just happen to be like giants and stuff like that.
Could be. The idea here could be that the Boros hate tall people. I guess wide people. That's what toughness normally represents.
I think that flavor-wide, it's okay. I mean, it's not spot on, obviously, but sorceries rarely. I mean, this doesn't have a very plausible application to a game of Magic, very literally. Like the idea that these Boros agents are running around and destroying like dragons and stuff like that is kind of silly. But the idea is still pretty good.
I like the idea that they're going around arresting dragons.
Yeah, it is a little strange. I mean, destroying things is not what you typically think of as a incarceration effect. And white is a color that has a lot of arrest and exile and kind of effects. I mean, you couldn't do that with this sorcery. It would be, it couldn't be a sorcery. It would have to be like an enchantment, and then it gets
enchant all creatures with toughness 4 or greater. They're not going to do that.
Well, no, it would just be an enchantment and be like, when this enters the battlefield, exile all, etc., etc.
It's true. So, I could have done that. But
I think this functions better. This is better design than that. It's just the flavor then is just a little bit off, but not enough that it really bothers me. So
I think the flavor text justifies why arresting people kills them here. The ceilings are very low, so these people get crushed in jail.
Oh, maybe they kill themselves rather than taste the terrible food. I think
I'm pretty sure that's what Wizards is going for on this card. They want you to think about these Ravnica people killing themselves over food.
Okay, flavor-wise, I'm reasonably happy with it. Yeah, I give this
Citywide Boss. It's a sweeper that fits.
I'd give this a B.
B sounds good. Playability, I think this is a good card.
I do too.
3 mana Wrath that doesn't hit everything, so kind of conditional when you'll want it. Some matchups it's not going to do much, but I like that you can potentially make it a one-sided Wrath.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a sideboard card in most instances, but it's going to be a good one against a lot of decks. I think this is going to be a constructed playable card.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
B plus.
Yeah, that sounds okay to me. And in terms of design, I like it. I think it has a nice casting cost. I think it has a good effect. Yeah, I would give this a B plus. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it just occurred to me. This is sort of the opposite of when Black gets Wraths that work by giving everything -4/-4 or whatever.
That's true, which is to the card's credit. Like that makes the design even better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good design. We both like Citywide Bust, so let's move on to our next card, Collar the Culprit.
Okay, that's 3 and a white for a white instant. It says destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater.
All right, so
I should say this is
that flavor theme.
A common instant.
Yes.
So
all right, so this helps explain what's going on there. The Spore Sergeant has instructed people to start with the big ones and work your way up.
Looks like this kind of works hand in hand with Citywide Bust, actually, in terms of flavor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the same idea, but instead of a citywide bust, it's just busting one person.
Mm-hmm. It seems kind of weird that this costs more than.
Well, this one is for limited, and citywide bust is for constructed.
Yeah. What was
if they want cards to be played in constructed, they need to make them a little bit cheaper than they should be.
You remember the card Reprisal?
Oh yeah, from Alliances.
Yeah, was that power 4 or greater?
I think that went by power.
Yes. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. It can't be regenerated. That only cost 2 mana. That was 1 and a white.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't seem stronger than that. Wonder why they made this so expensive.
Yeah, removal in general has been more expensive these days than it was back then.
That's true. That seems
especially common removal like this.
I mean, if you've got a problem with big creatures, then I guess you do what you got to do. But it seems like a pretty significant drawback on this. Mm-hmm. That, I mean,
we see this for power 4 or greater more often.
Yeah.
I mean, no reason it can't work either way. It's the same idea. Get rid of a big, really threatening thing.
I just don't think this is very good.
No, you're probably playing it in limited.
You think
it's not a definite high pick the way a lot of removal would be.
I don't even know whether you're main decking it though. Do you think you are?
I mean, well, it's definitely a good sideboard card at the least. I think you might main deck this. I'm not sure.
Well,
I guess I'm no fan. How many decks in this are going to have creatures with toughness 4 that you care about? I mean, if somebody has a big creature you care about, pretty much by definition, in limited.
Yeah. So here's the question with this card. So, I mean, the flavor is essentially the same as Citywide Bust. It's close to it anyway. So you kind of want to give it, or it seems like it should get the same score, but I guess it should. But
it almost feels weirder to me here that this is destroying something with a flavor of not destroying them.
That's what I was going to say. I felt like we were giving Citywide Bust a break because the functionality of the card sort of excused the fact that it didn't fit with exactly what you want the card to be doing. But here, when it's one card, and we've seen so many cards from white that function exactly the way it seems like this could function, it seems like you could just say, when Color the Culprit enters the battlefield, exile target, blah, 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 blah.
Also, if this were an instant, everything's the same except you change Destroy to Exile, that fits the flavor better.
Yeah.
That makes it a lot stronger against Golgari, since they want things in the graveyard.
If this said Exile, this would be a much better card. You know, get rid of, I mean, it would be a plausible sideboard card and maybe some real decks against, you know.
So,
maybe
so
not.
It would deal with indestructible creatures.
Yeah, which I guess isn't going to come up very often in limited.
No.
All right. So I don't know whether it's unfair to give it a worse flavor grade or whether we should just take it out on design or what.
The flavor's about the same.
Okay. In terms of playability, I'm going to give this. I give this a C minus, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're happy to pick some of these up in draft, not necessarily to main deck, but because if your play gets somebody who's relying on getting big creatures out, this is a great sideboard card to bring in. Maybe grade is a little strong. It's a little expensive, but it's a good sideboard card to bring in.
This is a great combo with Candlelight Vigil. You can cast Candlelight Vigil on their creatures and then destroy them with their newly gained toughness.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Celestia Guildmage tries to light some candles and keep an eye out, and Boros arrests them for it.
In terms of card design, I think I kind of like the symmetry is not the right word, but I kind of like how there's the same effect here and with Citywide Bust, where it's like here's just a small instance of what's happening citywide there. The problem is this should not be a more expensive spell. I get that.
But Citywide Bust costs 2 colored mana and its cost. This only has 1, so it's a lot easier to cast.
Yeah. I think this should be 1 white and 1 other. And I think that's significantly...
That'd be a lot better.
Well, I think it would just be a much more reasonable card. I think that significantly impacts the design grade, at least for me, that it's just...
So I think if they were going to cost it like that, they would move it up to uncommon. We don't see really efficiently costed common removal like that anymore.
Well, even knocking it down 1 would be a lot better. Like a lot.
Yeah, I think 3 mana for this would be pretty good.
Okay, so I really like the pairing with Citywide Bust here. I think it's overcosted. I'm going to give it a C+.
And that's for how well designed you think it is?
Yeah. And that's...
I'll give it a B-. I like that they're doing this toughness matters thing for white removal here. I'm not sure that that's better than power, but it seems worth playing around with.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I like that. I like the connection with Citywide Bust, but the casting cost, I think, is a killer. All right. Okay. What's next?
Conclave Tribunal. 3 and white for an enchantment. This has Convoke. This is the first Convoke card we've seen so far. When Conclave Tribunal enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Conclave Tribunal leaves the battlefield. Oh, and since this is our first Convoke card, the reminder text for Convoke is, your creatures can help cast this spell.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, the rules for Convoke are what you would expect given that.
Yeah.
This seems good. Obliviating costs 1 more, but has Convoke.
Yep, this is nearly unconditional removal.
Can't hit lands.
Yeah, even if it didn't have Convoke, it would be a card you would probably play as many as you got.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a perfectly reasonable, good, playable card. I think. What is? You think it's a B-?
I might go up to B.
You might be right to do that. That's what I was kind of bouncing around.
I mean, I'm thinking limited there. For constructed, this is not a B.
Yeah. I guess we probably should have been a little clear about that. Because it's hard to give a card 1 letter grade when you're considering both limited and constructed.
I think we're matching pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to figure out where it fits, and we're kind of considering it in its best role and giving it a grade.
Which for a lot of cards, the best role is going to be in limited, but not always.
Yeah. What do you think about the flavor here?
Okay, so the Celestia have all gathered to judge this one goblin. They're holding up their branch staffs, and I guess they find the goblin guilty, so it's exiled. I'm not sure how the Conclave punishes wrongdoers at a tribunal. Maybe they kill the goblin. But no, the flavor here is temporary removal, so they're not killing the goblin. They're too peaceful for that.
It seems like
they're not imprisoning the goblin, because then it would be destroy target non-land permanent with 4 or greater toughness.
Well, and that's a funny thing too, because the implication is that they're putting somebody on trial, but you can exile like enchantments and artifacts and stuff.
Well, this might not be a trial exactly. It's the tribunal meeting to decide what should be done, but I don't know if there's any sort of defense in the system. Like I don't think that goblin was given a lawyer.
Well, I suppose in a system where they put out bounties on enchantments and artifacts, you can imagine that they conduct trials for them as well.
Consistency of flavor interpretations between multiple cards is not something that we should really expect.
I don't think so. I think it's nice when it occurs.
Oh, it's really nice when it occurs, but I don't think it's really possible for them to do that consistently.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I think with the name like Conclave Tribunal, this should have been a creature, not an enchantment. It should have just been creatures, not like enchantments. Well, it should have been creatures and planeswalkers.
Well, maybe the tribunal meets and decides that a sword is evil and needs to be exiled.
Yes, I get it.
And then later somebody naturalizes the tribunal and the sword is no longer illegal.
So, in terms of playability, we've given the card a good grade there, B minus. You're probably right with your B. In terms of flavor, I would give this card a.
It's not great.
No, how hard on this?
It's not awful. I like the art.
I like the art, I like the name, I like the effect, sort of. No, I guess I don't, because of the way it's, because of what it can affect, but it's not terrible either. I think the idea that the fact that Convoke is on it kind of ties into what it is, right? That it's this gap.
Yeah, it's a tribunal, and it's easier to have one of those happen if you have a quorum.
Right, which is good. Convoke doesn't always have a flavor component to it. Sometimes it's just slap the sword.
Yeah, sometimes it's just here's a big creature. Also, it has Convoke.
So
in this case, it makes sense.
I'm going to give this a C plus, or not C plus. Sorry, C minus, balancing the good and bad aspects of it.
Yeah, C minus is right.
Okay.
For design, I don't know. It's pretty straightforward. We get an Oblivion Ring-like effect fairly often. This one has one of the set mechanics added to it. That seems like a pretty obvious design to make, and nothing wrong with that.
No, I would give this
a wow anyone on design end.
Yeah. So, considering sort of a vacuum, I think I'd give it a B plus, given that it's basically just
B plus, really?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying in a vacuum. If this were the first card that it had this kind of effect, I think it would have been pretty cool. Given that this is just kind of like a riff on a constantly recurring kind of white removal spell, I think it's still C plus, B minus.
Yeah, I'm gonna go C. I think this is probably middle of the road.
Oh, well,
I would go higher if this were like a staple effect that plays in some interesting way with Convoke. In this case, it doesn't really give you anything new.
Okay.
What's next?
Crush Contraband. 3 and a white for an instant. This is an uncommon spell. It says choose one or both. Exile target artifact, exile target enchantment.
And we see a Boros big tough guy smashing a glowy blue thing. Oh, apparently it's a thermo inverter. I don't like choose one or both templates. It's kind of awkward.
I'm gonna go to the Barbie store for shoppers.
I mean, you see why they did here.
Yes.
You need to be able to choose just one in case you want to destroy, exile an artifact and there's no enchantments around.
So, design-wise, this looks to me like a card where someone put the brakes on and was like, "Well, let's make sure this card isn't too good, isn't like too playable."
Yeah, 4 mana.
I think, well, 4 mana, and I mean, it obviously becomes a much more playable card if it was
Exile target creature.
Well, yeah, but I was going to say destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments.
Yeah.
It's still a perfectly reasonable card. Like that, it's not like that makes it too powerful, but people might actually use it then. Whereas now, this is just too expensive if you're not going to be able to get the 2-for-1.
Yeah, this is it exiles instead of destroying, which is some nice upside, but in limited, this is strictly sideboard material, and I don't think you're too excited about it.
Well, I mean, there are just
that many artifacts or enchantments in this set that you're going to be desperate to bring this in for.
And this just isn't a good rate for destroying either one of those.
And what sort of limited deck do you play against where you're sure if you put this in, you'll get both of them? And
yeah.
We did just see an enchantment that would be pretty good to exile.
That's true.
Yeah, like imagine if a tribunal is contraband and you crush it.
Then you've 1-for-1 them at the same cost. Bravo.
Yeah, but yours is at instant speed. And also, maybe you exile some armor.
If this is the only answer you have to artifacts or enchantments, and you're playing against a white deck that's going to have Conclave Tribunal, then you would play this.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you do that? Do you do that if they have a single copy of Conclave Tribunal in their deck, though? I think you need to have multiple targets possible for this to be worth bringing in.
I mean, I guess the problem is you're not going to know for sure whether they just have one copy. You'll play a game and you'll see a copy.
And maybe you also see a couple Candlelight Vigils from them.
Yeah, and that'll turn the tide. So
this is not a very playable card.
No, I don't think it's not a good card. I mean, it's not a good sideboard card. It's not a good main deck card. I don't think it's not a constructed playable card unless something arises that's going to let you get reliable 2-for-1s, and even then, I don't know. That's a little expensive for the effect. Depends on what you're destroying. But
exiling.
I think this is like a D- in terms of power level.
Yeah. And not quite an F. This does something. Sometimes you'll want.
Yes.
In terms of flavor, I don't think Crushing Contraband matches up with exiling an enchantment.
Correct.
It's hard to come up with a flavorful representation of enchantments since it's such a vague card type.
Mm-hmm.
Enchantment can be the idea of somebody going on a Candlelight Vigil. Apparently, it can be a tribunal of Celestia people.
Well, but whatever it is,
just attributes of things, general lingering magic.
Yeah, sometimes it's a creature or. But in any case, the idea of destroying an enchantment by crushing it kind of goes against the idea of what enchantments are. I mean, that's part of the reason why red can't deal with enchantments, right? Is because like brute force is not supposed to be able to deal with to destroy enchantments.
Except
right?
look at that art. Look, I do like the concept of someone so strong that he can just reach out and crush an enchantment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's actually what they're going for here. I don't think they believe that that big muscly guy can do that.
No, but they think that he can like crush a feather or like a rabbit's foot or something that's controlling an enchantment, I guess.
Magical
Although
focus,
some
sure.
kind of magical artifact that creates an
And
enchantment.
the art just shows the exile target artifact side of things, which it's weird that it's exile when the art shows something being destroyed.
Yeah.
Does exile in flavor terms just mean really, really destroy?
Well, yeah.
I get that impression sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got
Is it Mage knew she would neither get her thermo-inverter back, nor have the satisfaction of exploding it herself.
So I think the flavor here is bad. It's bad on a card that seems like it would be very easy to come up with a name and flavor for, you know?
Oh, really, what name would you give to this effect?
Unenchant?
Okay, so that works for the target enchantment side of it.
No, you unenchant the artifact too. No, you couldn't just call it unenchant because you'd have to give it something that suggests you're exiling it, but whatever. It's not split hairs here. You get the point. There are lots of generic, the point is, I guess, that a very generic sounding name.
Honestly, I don't think Disenchant was a great card name.
Really?
Yeah.
I like those early
Memorable.
card names like Counterspell and Disenchant.
I like Counterspell.
All right.
Well, I also like Copy Artifact, those sorts.
Yeah. Animate Dead. That's good. But this is not that. This has a name that doesn't fit with the simple concept.
Crush Contraband.
So the flavor here is bad. Did we already give the flavor a bad grade, or are we still waiting to do that?
Yeah, we did. We haven't done design grade. That's pretty low. I mean,
yeah.
Disenchant effects, those are pretty common. This is an awkwardly templated one.
And it's overcosted. So
yeah,
I'm going to give it a D+.
Just give it straightforward D.
Okay.
Okay. Our next card is another piece of contraband.
Dawn of Hope. It's 1 and a white for a rare enchantment. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2 mana. If you do, draw a card. For 3 and a white, you can create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink.
Ooh. That's pretty nice. This is more card draw than I'm used to seeing white get.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting combination of abilities here. They don't seem to relate to each other particularly well, but I mean, I guess they both kind of relate to the idea of giving you hope in a bad situation.
Kind of. To wage war, secure peace within yourself. Amaratandris said that.
Oh, I mean, okay. I'm a little slow on the uptake here. The connection between the two is that the soldier has lifelink, so you create soldier tokens, and then you can draw cards from them when you're gaining life. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, they don't want to make a card that's just when you gain life, pay mana to draw a card, because then maybe you have no way of gaining life in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Then you play this and be sad that it never does anything.
So let's put aside the gaining life, paying 2, drawing a card stuff. How good is it to have an enchantment that lets you create 1/1 lifelinkers for 4 mana?
At that cost, I don't think it's good. I think that's pretty bad.
It is. It's kind of expensive to get things going.
Yeah, I think the top part of this has to be the more exciting one if you want to play it.
Well, how good do you think that is in isolation?
Uh,
I mean, obviously
well,
you got
not too good. I mean, you want to have lifelink creatures with it, which maybe you'll have some in the deck aside from the tokens here. I think neither half of this on their own would make it a very playable card.
The thing is, using them together is so expensive. Like you're you're 8 mana deep before you
right.
cast this and created a soldier and then drawn a card off of it. Now, obviously your return gets better from there. I think you look at this and you just imagine, oh, I can make all these creatures and then I can draw all these cards. But unless the game's running kind of long, it seems like you're just not going to be able to do all that much with this.
Oh man, imagine if this were an enchantment that just said, whenever you gain life, draw a card. That's probably too good. That seems like something you could break.
Yeah.
That'd be an exciting card to see.
And apparently, I mean, they must have play tested this and found that paying 1 mana was too good as well. Okay. Well, how good do you think this thing is? Do you think this is a constructed card, or do you think this is a limited card? I think it's a limited card.
I think it's a limited card. I think you could, if you make a constructed deck build around this, that's kind of a cool, fun idea. I don't think it would be good.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if someone cracked this thing.
You really need to have other sources of life gain already going. Making the tokens with this is your backup plan, and it's a lot stronger for having a backup plan built in, but it's still your backup plan.
Yeah. If you've got other reliable sources for gaining life, this could be pretty good. But I mean, so if it's not really good enough for constructed, in limited, how many life linking sources are you going to have, or life gain sources are you going to have?
Not too many.
And so I just don't think this is good enough.
Nope.
I don't think it's terrible. I think you'll get something out of it, but
I'd say C minus. I think
Yeah.
sometimes you're playing this in limited.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't think you're going out of your way to pick it first or anything.
What do you think of this in terms of, I don't know, let's say flavor?
I'm not sure I get it. Let's talk through this. So this represents something going on where people on Ravnica, or maybe just in Celestia, are having a renewed sense of hope. The art shows it also literally being dawn, so okay, I think the concept is still a metaphorical dawn here, despite that. So I guess something positive happens and people get hopeful. It's like something happens to make you gain life, and so you get a new spell in your hand.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like that's the power of hope.
Yeah, I don't think the thing where it makes soldiers is, well, maybe that is part of the base concept here. The idea is, oh, we have hope again. Now people want to enlist.
Yes, I think that's it. I think it's like recruitment. It's not like summoning, it's people joining the fight.
Yeah. I don't know what this hope-producing event is. The art doesn't really explain that to me, and the flavor text is just a fortune cookie.
Well, I mean, dawn of hope. I don't know. I don't know either.
Yeah,
But
D
I think
minus
it's.
for flavor.
Did you say D minus?
Yeah, maybe I'll
I don't
revise
think
that
it's.
later if I find out what this is actually about, but the card has not explained it.
I am not that down on it. I feel like it's a very sort of generic name, and I don't think this goes very deep or there's like any intuitive appeal as to what's exactly going on. But I think enchantments are just like that sometimes. It's just like a magical thing doing magical stuff.
I really don't like it when there's a card that doesn't have some sort of concept behind it. Like, here's a card about this thing happening, or here's a card about this sort of person. I like those better than when there's a card where part of it is, here's a couple lines of different mechanical effects. We put them together.
Yeah, although I think the effects here.
They fit together, but I mean, this card conceptually has to represent the idea of drawing cards from gaining life and also the idea of making soldiers. Those can be related ideas, but they're still two separate things.
I hear you. I'm not that down on it. I'm giving this a C minus.
All right, I'm staying at D minus there.
We're far apart on this one. What do you think about in terms of design?
Man, all that mana, it's a little awkward. I'm interested to see them whenever they experiment with giving white recurring draw things like this, or Mentor of the Meek, or what's that creature that lets you draw a card whenever you play an equipment?
Oh.
Anyway.
Paladin of something?
Yeah, Pure Steel Paladin.
Okay.
I guess Srom also fits that description. That's something they've been playing around with more, having white get the ability to draw cards for doing white things. Which, it's interesting. They talk about, you hear from designers sometimes about how white's supposed to be good at dealing with any card type, but has the weakness of not being able to draw cards very easily.
But then,
and you want those to go together, because if white is able to refill its hand really well and refilling its hand with good flexible answers to anything, that's too good. So I'm curious to see where the line for allowable white card draw ends up being. I guess that's not really a grade for this card, though. I think it's busier than I like.
I think it's an interesting idea of being able to create your own soldiers and then draw cards off the life you gain from them. But I think it's so expensively costed between the two abilities that you're never going to really get to see that engine get going.
Yeah, which is a pity, because this card does do a good job of presenting you with an engine. You see this card and you think, oh, here's how I could build around that. I'll make a deck with 4 of these and a bunch of things that gain me life, and then I'll pay a lot of mana and draw a lot of cards.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I guess the way you use this is you hold up your mana. Mm-hmm. If your opponent attacks, then you block with a lifelinker and draw a card. If your opponent doesn't attack you, then
you still make a lifelinker.
Yeah. Is that good enough? It does put your opponent in quite a spot.
Yeah. Being able to instant speed make creatures, potentially multiple creatures per turn, is pretty nice.
But it requires you not using your mana.
Yeah.
You're holding up quite a bit of mana to make that viable. Oh.
Yeah. Mana sinks like this that an unlimited amount into are pretty nice. There's some fun here from a design point of view.
Yeah, I think I was a little too down on it. I mean,
C plus.
Okay, we'll give it a C plus. They're trying to do something interesting here. Give them some credit for that.
All right, our next card is Demotion. Single white mana for an enchantment aura. This is uncommon. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature can't block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. Okay, so you think at first, oh, this is like a rest, but it's cheaper. And then you read it again and notice it doesn't say can't attack.
Yeah. So, how often do you want this card?
This is a weird one. I'm used to seeing white do the opposite of this, just can't attack.
Yeah. Now,
target creature can't block is not a common white ability. So there's a black or red thing.
A Boros deck would be like an aggro deck, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this may just be an effect to let you slip through your attackers.
Yeah.
But that's...
Man, I don't think this should be a white card.
I think it should be a red card.
Maybe.
Well,
the stopping activate abilities thing, it's not red.
Yeah.
I guess this is strictly a subset of a thing white does, so it should be a white thing. It's just weird for white to care more about the can't block part than the can't attack part.
So I suppose if your opponent has creatures with particularly damaging activated abilities, you could use this, but I don't know that you're bringing this in for that. Probably not.
Wait, imagine putting this on a wall.
Take that, Wall of Swords.
This does have a slight defender theme going on.
Okay. Well, still it's not very good.
No.
So I think the real plausible use of this card is in an aggro deck. It's going to let you get through some more attacks. But is it worth a card? Well,
I think maybe. It might be.
I mean, if your plan is just to keep attacking until they're dead, and if you can't do that, then you're going to die. You don't really care. I mean, this is as good as removal, basically.
Yeah. You don't care about the big giant attacking you. What you were worried about is that the giant will stay back and block so that none of your soldiers can get in.
Yeah. So I don't know whether this card is good enough. We can see what it's supposed to be for.
Yeah.
I can imagine it being useful. I don't know whether it's going to get there. I mean, would you rather just have another creature instead of this thing?
I think in a lot of decks you would.
But it's not useless. It's not that bad. Is it? I don't know. Are we in D territory with this thing? Or is this just like a C minus?
Maybe D plus. Maybe.
I go D plus on this.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I think it gets better in some decks, you know?
What's our flavor on this thing? Because of this...
I actually like the flavor text here. There's no greater honor than joining your chosen guild, and no greater shame than failing it.
Okay.
So the idea with this card is somebody in Boros has been demoted. He's having to turn in his uniform and his big helmet, and is no longer allowed to block or activate abilities.
Now, see,
But
blocking.
I guess
the blocking I
being
can
demoted
see.
doesn't stop your ability to attack.
Right. It stops your ability to block because the guild is kind of like, get out of here, you're fired.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't get to stand and fight with them. But you can still run over and attack somebody if you want. I don't know about the activated abilities, though. I guess the idea.
Well,
And this doesn't.
activated abilities represent special things that somebody can do because of their job.
Yes. I think that's the way you have to look at it.
If you put this on a guild mage, the guild mage can't do guild mage stuff anymore.
Right. They are revoking your activated ability privileges.
Yeah, I think that part makes sense.
I think it's okay. I think.
Imagine if you could template this as like demotion. Enchanted creature is now a vanilla creature.
Yeah.
Like you can see how that lines up with the concept. I mean, okay, I guess they could have put loses all abilities on here.
Yes.
They did not.
I think that would be a lot.
They should have. Yeah. What? Yeah. Why do things stop being able to activate abilities but keep their triggered and static abilities? It's a pretty artificial line.
Yeah. Well, flavor-wise, I don't know. I guess.
I like that flavor text for a card called Demotion. I'm not entirely sold on this effect being demoting, but it's the can't block but attacks just as well as before thing.
Yeah.
That's a hard concept. I remember when White got an aura at the same cost that was enchanted creature has defender. The name they gave that was guard duty, which I liked.
Yeah. I guess I just give this a C. It's just fine, I guess. In terms of design, I think I'd give it a C- for reasons we've already kind of hit on. It would be better
Sounds
if
kind
it
of
were
interesting.
all
I haven't seen this sort of partial rest before. It's interesting to take some effect that has always been done as a combination of different things and then take out one of them that was always there before.
Mm-hmm.
It does still bug me that this is in white.
All right. What's next?
Next we have Divine Visitation.
What's that?
3 white for an enchantment. Oh, this is our first mythic rare. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead.
Oh, kind of like the idea.
Cool, isn't it? Yeah. If you play a token making thing, instead gives you Sarah Angels.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't seen an effect like this before. Replacement effects that start if one or more creature tokens be created. Those have all been make more of them instead.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting when you started reading the card. Yeah. So here's how much like token creation do we have in this set? We've seen one card already.
So Celestia has a fair amount of that.
Okay. So if you've got,
I think this is there are going to be ways to make this work.
Yeah, obviously a build around, but if you can get it going, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay for itself very quickly. I mean, when you're
I mean, if you play, well, like Dawn of Hope, if you pay 4 mana with that and get a 4/4 flying vigilance.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty crazy. But even, I mean, it only has to pay off once to be worthwhile. I mean, this costs as much as a Sarah Angel. And Sarah Angel's good. Sarah Angel is still good. So if you get...
although you're not paying this for getting a Sarah Angel. You're paying this for getting a Sarah Angel and not getting a bird token or whatever.
Well, that's
It's a little bit worse.
It is, but not much worse.
No, I mean, you're not trying to combo this with, I don't know, some card that makes a 6/6 token.
Yeah.
Trying to combo this with cards that make lots of small tokens normally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you have the payoffs for this, you're going to run away with the game pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
I think this has the potential to be excellent.
What a neat
But
card idea. And
I bet there's a constructed deck waiting here too, because
I hope so.
you take like creatures that create tokens when they what is it, doomed? Is it doomed deserter? Is that what it is?
Yeah, there's a card along those lines in the set later in white. I forget the name of it. But yeah, there's cards that die into a token.
What was the ability in Amonkhet where when the thing died, it would create a copy of itself?
Embalm.
Yeah.
Eternalize.
Yeah. Oh, it didn't happen automatically. You have to pay for it. But nevertheless, I mean, I think there's a lot of potential here. I don't know whether
somebody dies and then you embalm them, but instead of a mummy, you get an angel.
So I think this is potentially pretty cool. I don't if it gets there.
I like it.
What's that?
Yeah, I like it. Obviously, in limited, you're not putting this in your deck unless you have a bunch of token creation things. But I want to try to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say B+.
I'm going to say B for playability. Oh, no. Yeah, I think this is pretty playable. I think you're right. It really doesn't take very many times triggering this for you to have gotten value. Yeah, B+. There's a flavor. The idea here is, I don't know, something is happening and you're expecting birds to show up in this case. There's a miracle and instead you're visited by angels. I mean, if you're going to flavor this sort of replacement effect where when this would happen, something completely different happens instead, making it a miracle makes sense.
Yeah, I do like the absurdity of the flavor text.
Yes.
Where they're acknowledging in a fairly literal way what is happening, but without offering any explanation of why there's bird seed sitting out for the angels.
This is literally somebody scattering bird seed to try and get some pigeons to come by, but instead some angels come by.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do too. I like this. I like the flavor of this card. I mean, how much better does flavor get than this card? It gets better.
I'm giving this an A.
I'm going to give it an A-. Leave some room to grow, but I think it's good.
Yeah, leave some more room there.
Yeah. And in terms of design, I like the design.
It's a great design.
I think it's well costed, and I think this is. I'm going to give it an A. I'll give it an A for design.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
All right. On visitations, pretty high grades. We have Flight of Equinox.
So an equinox, that's like someone who rides on a horse, I suppose.
Yeah, like how an astronaut rides on a star.
Flight of Equinox is 7 and a white for a 4/5 human knight at uncommon, but hold on there because it has.
That's a lot of mana, Vincent.
It seems like too much mana for a mere 4/5, but hold on because it has Convoke, which means that your creatures will be able to help you cast this spell, and it has flying. So if you can reduce
4/5 with flying, it's pretty big.
If you can reduce the casting cost of this thing by say 3 mana, you're getting a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd pay 5 mana for a 4/5 flyer in limited.
Yeah.
I think I'd pay 6 mana for that.
You would, but you wouldn't be that excited to pay 6 mana for it.
Yeah, I think it'd still be good. 7 mana, I'm starting to feel down on it.
But in any case, I mean, that seems pretty doable that you'd be able to knock, well, at least 2, but maybe 3, maybe more mana. This seems very castable.
Yeah.
And 4/5 flyer is a pretty good card. So I think it's perfectly playable. I think this is a C+.
Yeah. In terms of flavor, well, the flavor is pretty straightforward. They're these knights who ride on Pegasuses. So
why is flight it's supposed to be like the name of a pack of winged horses?
I think so, yeah.
Is flight a word that's used to describe a group of any other thing?
Sounds like it should be.
Okay. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Yes, there's competition between our Equinauts and the Boros Skyjacks. At least they think it's a competition.
So the flavor just seems fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Now this is a card.
It's a creature. It's flavored as a creature.
Yeah,
not much going on there.
Flies appropriately. Now this is a card kind of like we mentioned before, where it has convoke slapped onto it, but there's no apparent flavor reason why you can convoke.
The idea is they're powered by having an army behind them. Well, this is Celestia, not Boros, but still a large group of people.
Your other creatures can like pick up the horses and throw them into the air.
Well, I just mean I don't know, maybe they're outfitted by the community and they need squires and such.
Yeah, who knows? But in any case, I would give this a straight C. Like it just seems fine.
I'll give it a C-. I think when they have just a generic creature and execute on it reasonably, that doesn't really deserve a higher grade.
Okay. In terms of design,
it's a big flyer, costed for limited, made to go into decks with lots of creatures. It's a fine thing to have.
Yeah, I give it a C+.
Sure.
All right.
Gird for Battle. Single white mana for a sorcery, uncommon. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. I don't think this is that well.
Well, at least they don't like. It's not a wasted card if they kill one of the creatures. You still have something.
Counters stick around. This isn't just bad combat trick.
Although it would
Source
be a bad combat trick.
Very bad combat trick. I'm not sure if this is worth a card. At least it's cheap.
I guess it depends on how fast the format really can be. I mean, if playing a 1-mana card to remove a blocker is worthwhile, maybe it's worthwhile to pump up 2 of your creatures to attack through blockers or just get in a couple more damage. I don't know.
If you put the +1/+1 counter on a creature with Mentor, then it can mentor other creatures more effectively.
It's true.
I think this is playing into the Boros +1/+1 counter theme. It's an interesting theme for Boros to have. I haven't really gone in for that before. It fits though. I mean, +1/+1 counters fit with a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
Flexible mechanic.
So, what do you think here?
I'm not sure how playable this is. I guess C-. I think
That sounds.
This is not good. I think it'll sometimes go into your deck. Maybe it's D plus.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, it's gonna.
I don't know. I mean, limited once you've got your creatures and your removal. How many slots do you want to have for effects like this too?
Not many, unless you're just pushing forward with it for every point of damage you can get for an early kill, and I just don't know how plausible that's going to be yet. I mean, from what we've seen so far from
White could try for that. That is a thing.
Yeah, although from what we've seen from White so far, it's not like the super fast aggro machine or anything like that. But maybe when you pair it with Red, it is. Yeah, I think you're probably right with D plus, and maybe there's some deck it's going to be great in, but generally speaking, it's not. I think in terms of flavor, I think it's just fine. I'd give it a C.
Sure. And creatures get bigger. Yeah, it could be preparing for battle. You won't need the sword drills, your shields, or my blessing. You'll fight for Sunhome with the truth in your heart. Okay, so this represents these soldiers deciding that they don't need to practice or have a shield or get blessed by the literal angel who's leading them.
Yeah, the flavor text does kind of sort of run counter to the concept of the card.
Yeah, like the card art, those look like people who care about swords.
Maybe this is kind of
Or
like
maybe one of them is throwing her sword away to represent girding herself for battle.
That's the one who's getting stronger. Tossing. Maybe I was gonna say maybe this is kind of like a stone soup situation where Aurelia is saying that the truth in your heart will make you stronger. You don't need any of this other stuff. But
take it anyway.
Maybe it'd be a little better if we just added my blessing and then maybe a shield, and maybe if you did some sword drills. It would be even tastier.
I like that.
Notwithstanding the silly flavor text, I still give it a C. I think it's just fine. Card design.
Yeah. C again?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of cards like these. I don't think they're that fun. Although super fast aggro decks are kind of fun, and if this works for that, it'll be fun. I think C. It's just fine.
Okay. Makes sense. We have.
Ooh, has the Marshall. Has the. I'm going to pronounce it has the.
Fair enough.
Has the Marshall costs 1 white for a 1/1 human soldier at uncommon. It has the text: whenever has the Marshall and at least 2 other creatures attack, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink.
This is Battalion. It was the Boros mechanic in Return to Ravnica or in Gate Crash.
Oh, right. That's where I've seen it. I was going to say.
Yeah, the mechanic then was things that trigger off of attacking with at least 2 others. It was a good mechanic. Some pretty strong cards with it in that.
Well, I don't know about this card, though.
Yeah. By the time you've got 3 creatures out to attack with, they can probably deal with your 1/1.
Yeah, I mean, so let's say.
It places itself.
What's that?
It places itself, though, if they kill it then.
Yeah.
Like, if you have 2 creatures that are attacking and you also have one of these out, you're going to attack in with it.
Yeah. How great is that, though, really? What if this was just 1 white, 1/1, when it dies, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink? How good
I think that would be good.
I think it would be okay. Yeah, that would be.
It would be worse than Doom Traveler, but Doom Traveler was pretty good.
It would be. Yeah, that would be pretty decent. But this isn't quite that. it takes a little bit of work before you can suicide this thing off for a different kind of 1/1.
Yeah.
And until you get to that point, a 1/1 for 1 mana is pretty bad.
Okay, but what if you're attacking with 3 of these? Then you get 3 tokens, so then you have 6 creatures.
Yeah, I mean, this. Are there other battalion type creatures in the set?
I don't think so. I think they try to avoid having too many cards bringing back the same old mechanic without keywording it.
Yeah, if they were going to have a bunch, I think they would have labeled
They
it
would have
battalion.
just given Boros Battalion instead of Mentor.
So I don't think this is going to do much of that stuff.
I don't this is something that you can mentor pretty easily. If you're making this bigger every time it attacks, then that does help your ability to keep getting the tokens. And those tokens themselves can be mentored too. I think this plays pretty well into the Boros cards. I think it plays well into Celestia mechanic too, just to being a cheap creature that can make tokens.
Mm-hmm. And we just saw that sorcery for adding +1/+1 counters. So, I mean, this could be part of that aggro machine where you're just, pumping and attacking. And so maybe.
I think for limited, 1/1 for 1 is just not powerful enough for this to really get there. If I'm wrong about this and there's a super fast aggro deck, then that'll be kind of neat. I doubt this is going to be a high pick. This is going to be in some aggro decks. You'll play these if you get them reasonably late.
So what do you think this is? A D plus or a C minus?
I
think it's a
definitely
C-.
one of those. Sure, I think this. Probably not going to see this in a standard white weenie deck, unfortunately.
No. But I think
that were more of a thing.
If there's a limited aggro deck that's largely white, I think you're gonna want 1-drops, and this is gonna be one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so flavor, because this is not aligned with any particular guild, despite being in a position of authority. Ravnica's convoluted power structure often boils down to who can muster the most swords on a given block. Okay, so this marshal has not been appointed by any sort of force. This is just someone who has a sword and is taking control of an area.
But he has some kind of charisma or something. And if
he clearly has exactly 2 followers. It's a little on the nose there.
He has the power of peer pressure, and he will convince people to join your ranks.
Yeah, I can like that. I have swords. Look, these 2 people are with me. Now you're a soldier too.
What's with that name, Hasda?
That's an area in Ravnica. A neighborhood, maybe?
Okay.
Some region.
I don't like the name very much, but...
Really? You seem to enjoy saying it.
So flavor. I tell you, well, no, I'll save that for the design discussion. Flavor-wise, I think it's so-so. I mean, we're kind of giving it the conceit that, okay, this guy has charisma to attract other soldiers when he attacks in a group, but that's not really that.
If they had that in mind, do you think they would have put something about it in the flavor text? Instead of just using that to remind us that this is just some guy with a sword.
Yeah, maybe like a Hasda recruiter or something like that. But I know that's
Hasda crime boss. I mean, it gets into it being a little weird that this is a white card, but
yeah,
the mechanics work out for being white. I'm just not sure the concept does.
It seems weird that the soldier that's summoned by the marshal is better than the marshal.
No, the soldier that you make is worse than the marshal because it doesn't have this ability to make tokens.
That's true.
I think this card is better than if it were a 1/1 with lifelink.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Oh, the Hasda Marshal doesn't gain you life himself because it doesn't really work for you. He's just some guy who set himself up as a neighborhood warlord.
He's just, lost in the convoluted power structure of Ravnica. He doesn't know what's going on. All right. Okay, flavor.
I know they want me to gain life for somebody, but I can bother finding out who.
I'm going to say
C minus.
Yeah, C minus flavor. Design.
I think Battalion is a very well designed ability.
I'd give it a C. I think it's just
a C plus. I mean, that's partly because I liked when they made Battalion in Gatecrash.
Mm. Okay.
I like seeing it again here. Even if they're not going to bring back old mechanics, having little callbacks to them is fun.
Okay. All right.
All right.
On to Healer's Hawk, another great 1-drop from white here. It's a 1 white mana for a 1/1 bird common. It has flying and lifelink.
All right, so they made Suntail Hawk better.
Well,
it's the way to trigger Dawn of Hope.
And it's a good target for your mentor counters.
Oh, this is a great target for that.
So, 1/1 flying lifelink. 1/1 flying lifelink is not a bad combination in itself.
Yeah, I mean, 1/1 flying for 1 kind of hovers on the edge of being reasonably playable, and it's a little bit better than that and plays well with Mentor. But I was going to say plays well with Convoke, but yeah, it does in the sense that it's a cheap creature.
Yeah, so I think your initial reaction is to be like, or a 1 mana 1/1, pass. But it's really, I think it's better than it.
It's sure not amazing.
Mm-hmm. I think
I'm gonna go C plus on this.
Yeah, I think that it's at least a C.
Maybe I'm overestimating how much you'll get counters onto it.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna give it a C.
Okay.
But it's a C with promise.
All right. So in terms of flavor, the concept here is that this is a hawk who carries glowing blue vials that heal you.
Which doesn't exactly line up with what lifelink is.
Yeah, it seems like this should have an ability where it prevents damage to a creature or regenerates another creature, except they don't do that anymore. It's something like that.
Well, I think it just shouldn't be carrying those vials. Like, lifelink.
Well, but the reason it's carrying those vials is that it can go seek out wounded people and heal them.
But that's not what it does.
It's a healer's hawk.
Yes, I know it, and what the healer does is he sends out his hawk to peck people's eyes out.
It's very well trained.
So I think the picture kind of
picture looks silly.
Yeah, I don't love the picture.
Well drawn, but it's a silly thing to draw.
But in terms of the name and the abilities, I think that's just fine. I give that a C.
Yeah. It's a small bird that flies and has lifelink. Healer's hawk. That fits.
Yeah, and I like the design of it. I think it's a very simple design, but I think the abilities go together well. I think it's going to play well with White's, what looks like White's plan is going to be in limited here.
I like it when they take some card that people argue about how good it is, and then just give it a little extra push.
Mm. So I mean, I'd give
how much you can get on a 1/1 for 1 mana.
I'd give it a C plus.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna like this one. Hunted Witness. 1 mana for a human common. When Hunted Witness dies, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. And this is itself a 1/1. See why?
I think we decided earlier that this is probably better than the Marshal, right?
Yes.
Now the Marshal can potentially.
The Marshal was uncommon. This is common.
Yeah, well, the Marshal can potentially create many soldiers, although I don't. It's not clear how likely that is.
Yeah, I think you're going to be hard pressed to get more than 1 token out of the Marshal.
Yeah. So, how good is Hunted Witness? I don't remember how good we decided the Marshal was. And I'm afraid we're going to give it. It's funny. I think
it's not as good as Doom Traveler. You get a token with lifelink instead of a token with flying. Yeah, if you have Dawn of Hope out, maybe they want to avoid killing the Hunted Witness. They don't want you to start drawing cards and gaining life.
A Varied Weapons, Spells, Exotic Animals. His most dangerous cargo.
Okay, we can't get into the flavor text yet. That's going to take a while. We need to get this playability grade first.
I don't remember what we gave the Marshal, but I hope it wasn't more than a C plus, because I want to give.
It wasn't.
I don't even think this is a C plus though. I think this is a C.
Could be. Yeah, that. What made Doom Traveler great was you can late game. It's not unreasonable because you can play it, it'll chump block something, and then you get an evasive threat. Yes, the token you get isn't doing much. 2 creatures for 1 mana has rarely been bad. You go C plus.
Okay.
So the flavor. What is the deal here? This guy was a witness to something, and now people are after him, and he's in witness protection or something. And before that, his job was transporting exotic animals. I'm confused here. Why does he die and make a 1/1 with lifelink? Is that what happens when you kill a witness?
Maybe in some jurisdictions. So, okay, so the question is, why is a soldier showing up when he dies? So one possibility that doesn't translate very well into the game is that it's supposed to be like the soldier is hunting the witness. So when the soldier shows up, it's the witness dies, like he's killing.
No, my witness died, but here's the guy who killed him.
Yeah. Plus, it's always going to be something else that kills him, so that doesn't really work.
Maybe the soldier shows up to avenge his death. Like, he's in witness protection. The soldier was assigned to guard him, but shows up too late.
And then
so as soon as their dragon or whatever kills this guy, the soldier comes in and is so upset that he gains you some life.
Maybe the soldier is supposed to be like a police officer more than
investigating the death.
Well, maybe they've got some case going on already, and this is a necessary witness for the prosecution, and then this witness gets bumped off, and then the police show up. It's like, oh no, our witness is dead. What do we, well, I guess I might as well stick around and fight these like bears and ogres and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, I think that makes the most sense of any of these.
So, all right. I don't think we really have
I don't like the flavor text itself, which, I mean, it doesn't really get into the whole what's going on with disability thing, but it's weird that this, like, they've decided to make this witness somebody who used to smuggle weapons and magic animals and so forth, so that they can do this little play in the flavor text where the even more dangerous cargo was the truth. That I don't know what they're going for there. If they're going for some sort of witty irony or anything, it's diminished by the fact that nothing about this being a hunted witness required him to be somebody who smuggled tigers.
No, and it ends up being a little disappointing that this guy who carried weapons and spells and exotic animals is just a vanilla 1/1.
Yeah.
It's like he ferried weapons, spells, exotic animals, and then in parentheses, not pictured. Dangerous cargo was the truth, also not pictured.
Yeah, I don't really believe that the flavor text is about this guy, or I don't really feel like there is a guy this is about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the flavor here just is not working.
Maybe the truth is that there is a soldier inside a hunted witness costume.
Okay. And so somebody stabs him and it doesn't penetrate through the disguise, so the soldier comes out.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so the witness himself is not a soldier, he's just a human with no other creature type. It's this generic disguise.
Yeah, but that's...
You'd think there'd be some creature type that they could give to people who ferry weapons and spells.
Yeah.
Like, what do they usually do for smugglers? Are those rogues?
No, I think so.
Okay, I guess this is not necessarily someone who smuggled. He just transported a lot of dangerous things.
Yeah.
He did get mixed up in crime somehow. Yeah,
that mustache is a bit of a crime.
D-. It's not quite F level of bad flavor, but they have not bothered to come up with a thing that this card actually is.
I'm going to give it a D-. I'm going to save it from a full F just on the off chance that there's a great explanation that we're missing. Like maybe something's going to bring it all together. I don't know that giving it a D- for that reason is really sensible, since that just means that I'm grading correctly either way. But that's my reasoning anyway.
Yeah, I think I'm going with D- even aside from that consideration, because I think I would save F for something that's where the card is actively working against the supposed concept, instead of with this, the concept is just unrelated to the mechanics.
In a sort of tantalizingly incomprehensible way.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces here that feel like they kind of fit together, but not all of them at once.
Yeah.
Disappointing. And design is fine.
Yeah,
every now and then.
I think I would like it more if it were a 1/1 lifelink that died and replaced itself with a 1/1 lifelink. Like I like the Sacred Cat.
It's cute when they do that.
But I think it's good enough that it's either a C or a C- for me.
I'll say C.
That's fine. We'll call it a C.
Okay. Aspiring Unicorn.
All right, we've got a 2/2 unicorn at uncommon. It's cost 2 and 2 white. Whenever Inspiring Unicorn attacks, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn.
That's a good ability.
Yeah.
Works on itself.
Right.
This attacks as a 3/3.
Mm-hmm. Which is still overcosted even for attacking as a 3/3, but pumping your team repeatedly is strong.
I like that if you have mentor creatures around, this ability makes no difference for what can mentor what.
Mm.
So you don't need to figure that out again. You already know how that works. I think this is a good card. I think I'd be happy to get this in limited if I'm in white, and especially if got an aggressive deck. This is not a good blocker.
No. And I guess if you're loading up on cards to remove their blockers and maybe pump up your guys just a little bit, this is just more damage you're pushing through. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of topping out your curve for a really quick aggro deck. But
if you can keep this alive to attack with multiple times.
Do you think this is better than like a cheap instant that pumps your team +1/+1 until end of turn?
Well, I mean, you don't get the surprise factor there. Is the problem.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think.
I don't know. I think the roles are different enough that you'd play both of those.
Mm. Okay, I think it's okay. I don't think it's great. I guess it's pretty good. I just give it a C to tell you the truth.
I'm giving it C+.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a good limited card, not a great one, but I think there will be people happy to get these.
All right.
In terms of flavor, yeah, Magic has trouble coming up with good representations of unicorns a lot of the time. And historically, they've often been vanilla creatures, sometimes creatures with like lifelink or some other keyword ability tacked on.
Yeah, they haven't really wanted to engage with like the wish granting,
right? Or
tradition,
or even like you don't even really go much into the healing abilities. I guess the 2/2 with lifelink one did a bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having a unicorn be inspiring makes sense.
Sure.
Flavor text discusses that. There are 2 lives: the life you live before you see a unicorn and the life you live after. So this is inspiring in that it divides up time into 2 halves.
It doesn't fit totally perfectly with a bonus that goes away.
Yeah, but if this were whenever it attacks, put +1/+1 counter on all your creatures, that would be much stronger.
Yeah, probably too strong for uncommon.
Yeah.
I think the flavor text is okay. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Great.
The flavor text just conveys seeing a unicorn is a big deal. That's what you want here.
I kind of wish the artwork.
You want to understand why it's exciting to this army to be attacking with a unicorn.
I kind of wish the artwork had captured that a little better, because that's like a lone unicorn like dancing around in the street or something. I can see some people in the background, but I don't know what they're up to.
I can't tell if they're even looking at the unicorn.
Yeah, like that unicorn is not inspiring anybody right now.
Yeah. I think the unicorn looks pretty inspiring there. It's just we don't see anyone being inspired. And that's a really glowy horn.
I think they should have bought that horse boxing a lineman painting that Andrew Hussey had on here. I don't. That's not even a unicorn, but they could have either ignored that fact or just drawn a horn on it.
Really, either way would work.
Yeah.
Okay, so missed opportunity from the art department there.
It's gonna drop them a full letter grade.
Yeah, I think the flavor is very reasonable here. This is a better unicorn card concept than we usually get.
I think it's okay. But I feel like they could have slapped inspiring on in front of any other mythical creature and it would have been about as good. I'd give it a C minus. I don't feel like this is particularly.
Well, like if it were inspiring Griffin, that wouldn't make as much sense. Griffins just aren't as inspiring as unicorns.
Maybe.
I'm saying that like I'm trying to be ridiculous here, but I genuinely believe that.
I think you're probably right that it would seem a little laughable if they had inspiring Griffin or inspiring Manticore or something.
Yeah, I think they do too many Griffins to pull off. Wow, this Griffin is inspiring.
No, but
Unicorns still feel special. You don't see those every day.
I'll tell you what they would call it though. They'd call it like inspiring Silver Claw or something like that, and then it would be like it's a specific kind of Griffin, and then it wouldn't sound so ridiculous. Any case, I think it's fine. It's okay. I'm not that in love with it. I would give it a C minus, but I don't have a big problem with it. I think it's fine.
C minus?
Yeah.
I'm giving this a C plus.
Okay. What do you think of it in terms of design?
It's a good payoff for go wide borer stacks. It's an interesting sort of trigger. I like attack triggers in general. Why so high on battalion?
I'm just okay with it. I'd give it a C.
Yeah, well, yeah, C is the right grade here, I think. But
yeah, I don't have any problem with it, but it's not incredibly creative or anything like that. It doesn't seem to inspire a lot of interesting possibilities.
Ironically. All right, next we have Intrusive Pack Beast.
Oh my god, what does this thing do?
Wow. Well, it intrudes. 4 to white for a 3/3 beast at common.
Well, that sounds terrible.
It has vigilance.
Still,
do you pay 5 mana for a 3/3 with vigilance?
I would not. I'm offended by this suggestion. Let's move on to the next card.
Well, wait. Hear me out here. When Intrusive Pack Beast enters the battlefield, tap up to 2 target creatures your opponents control.
Okay.
So it's up to 2. You can't tap your own creatures, unfortunately. It's odd to have those together. Oh, I guess if it just said tap 2 target creatures your opponents control, do you think people would read that and think, oh, if they only have 1 creature, I can't do anything?
Yes, at least, yes, people would think that.
Yeah. Actually, is that the case? Anyway.
No. I will remind our viewers, we're a little far into this, if you weren't aware of this, but I don't play Magic. So,
I play Magic, but just as a hobby.
I don't think this is good.
No.
Attacking your opponent's creatures and
you get to attack in.
Yeah, but
it doesn't those blockers for a turn.
It doesn't even lock them down for a turn or anything like that. It taps them, so it's only for getting in an attack the turn you play this. I guess it's pretty good for that. Tapping 2 creatures is
it is, but 5 mana for 2 creatures can't block is not great. But You're getting get a body with this. It's a 3/3 with vigilance.
And we're getting kind of expensive now for that fast aggro deck we keep talking about.
Yeah, I don't think your Boros deck with all those cheap 1/1s wants a 5-mana pack beast.
And why do you give a shit about it having vigilance? That doesn't seem to go with what we're doing here.
I guess it's intrusive in that it can be sticking its head into every combat step. Why else? I guess the art shows it looking around, but this card was designed before the art was
It used those long horns to attack the opponent without leaving your side.
I think the long horns are for it accidentally knocking people over when it turns its head.
Oh, you're right. That's exactly what
that's why they're tapped down.
I gotta tell you, I like that.
Yeah. Oh man, when we get to green, there's a card you're really going to like.
I don't think this creature needed to have vigilance. I don't think it should have cost 5 mana. It should have cost 4 mana, not had vigilance, and tap 2 creatures when it enters the battlefield.
Yeah. Huh. Surprised that the creature type is just beast. I could see them calling this an ox.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite an ox, but it's within the bounds of magic creature type fuzziness.
Uh-huh. So at 5 mana for this, I feel like it's at best a C minus, and that might just be.
I'm going D plus on this.
I think that's probably. I think you're probably right.
I think this is just draft filler that you're going to prefer not to have to put in your deck.
Okay.
In terms of flavor, I like the idea of this big intrusive beast tapping people down. That fits.
Yes, once you pointed out to me what was going on here, I like that.
Yeah, that's fun. The vigilance is extraneous here.
Mm-hmm. Which takes off a little bit, but I'm going to give it some points for that because I think it's really cool. So
the flavor text, good at carrying things, really good at knocking them down. I think the first ability should have been something that could tie into being good at carrying things.
Yeah.
Does vigilance really say pack animal?
No, they should have given it banding.
Well, then the card would be too good.
Break the format.
Yeah, I'm not sure what keyword you can put on a card to represent that it's good at carrying your supplies.
You could have
something where you get to tutor for an equipment, maybe, but that's a complicated thing to put on this strand of common.
Well, they had stuff once like the Saddleback Lagak and stuff like that distribute. I think that distributed
sword,
right? Mm-hmm. In some way.
Yeah.
Like, so I guess the idea is it brings something with it that your people use to.
Yeah, they had a card that was like some cranes that carry supplies by putting +1/+1 counters on creatures. That would be reasonable. It would be a little odd for this to have 2 enters the battlefield abilities representing its 2 aspects, but actually maybe that could work.
But why even make it a pack beast? I mean, why not just?
Well, because those are the big lumbering animals that are on Ravnica.
Oh, they're like a pre-established.
Yeah, although before it's been like more camel-like animals, like something dromad.
Well, in any case, there's a big pluses in the flavor of knocking things over with its big stupid horns, and then a little bit of minus from the vigilance, but I'm going to say that this is a B minus in terms of flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, it really bugs me when they tack on one thing that doesn't fit with the card concept. But the concept here is good enough that I'm willing to go to B minus.
Okay. Now, I mean, in design, we're going to have the same issue that this like is close to an interestingly or fun design, but then we've got.
So really, I think in terms of design, this is just I don't know, a couple effects stapled together.
I think it's too expensive.
I
Vigilance is
guess
necessary.
I guess the effects are a little bit tied together because they're both about whether things are tapped. But maybe that's the flavor. It's vigilance.
Well,
It's very sure on its feet.
maybe it should.
Opponent's creatures get knocked over, but this doesn't fall over when it attacks the way all attackers without vigilance do.
It should give up to like 2 creatures you control vigilance when it enters the battlefield.
Well, that'd be good. Yeah, like they're riding it.
Yeah. Or it gives them a ride back or something.
Yeah, that's gives them vigilance because they can see around them when they're up on its saddle.
Or maybe you could choose to untap up to 2 creatures you control or tap.
Like your choice of that or the tap your opponent's creatures thing.
Yeah.
A Deceiver Exarch deal.
But in any case, this is what we've got. I don't think it's too hot.
No, I'm not impressed with this design. I'm giving it a D.
Yeah, and we can give this thing flavor points for how fun it is that it's knocking things over with its horns, but I'm not going to give design points for that because I don't think this is anybody really wants or needs. So I think
design did not think about a beast knocking people over with its horns. Design thought of combining these 2 mechanical effects from a big spreadsheet. And they successfully put them both on a card.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go D minus. I just don't think we're going to see a card much worse than that here.
You might be right. I mean, it's not like active design mistakes, like 2 abilities that work against each other or something.
I mean, that's true. Maybe
I think there's room for design to mess up a lot more than this.
That's true. I mean, an F would be like Alpha White Ward, where it destroys itself as soon as you cast it. But I mean, we'll leave some room. I'm giving it a D minus, not an F. F is going to have to be just catastrophic.
F, maybe we save that for the 1 card in this set that's already needed to receive errata. We'll get there later.
Okay. I don't think we're going to make it past white cards tonight.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Okay.
We're going faster now.
All right. Next, we have Ledev Guardian, or Ledev Guardian.
Ledev, yeah.
Okay, 3 and a white for a 2/4 human knight at common. It has Convoke, which means your creatures can help you cast the spell.
And that's it, huh? And I'm not sure how much credit to give it for Convoke here. Like, obviously, this we're 4 mana for a 2/4. That's terrible.
Yeah, worse than a 3/3 for 4, which is good.
Okay, but a 3 mana 2/4, that's getting more reasonable, right?
Yeah, and that's
2 mana 2/4 would be above curve, but it would be above curve because you can play it on turn 2. Even if you're convoking this very heavily, you're not doing that on turn 2.
So Convoke does not play well with the aggro strategy. This is not an aggro card. It's got more toughness.
Although if you want to get this out on turn 3, some 1 mana 1/1s will help you do that.
Yeah. I mean, how much good is it doing you to get this out a turn early? It's obviously better, but it's not. You get to start wreaking havoc on the battlefield, and you get this.
It's hard for them to block and kill it.
Yeah, and I mean it's a good.
Attack.
It's a good blocker against an aggro deck.
Yeah, well, it's an okay blocker against an aggro deck. Vanilla 2/4s.
That's true. It's not great, and they got always to pump up their creatures. So this is a bad card.
I suspect this is a little better than it looks, but it looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
Does this get above D plus into C minus? I'm not sure.
I think it's at best a C minus. I think I'll give it a C minus, and just assume that Convoke effectively makes it cheap enough that it's not horrible.
Yeah.
It makes it, sometimes you'll get to cast it on. Well, no, you're never going to get to cast it on turn 2, really. I mean,
no, I don't think we have a 1 mana make 2 tokens spell.
So sometimes you get to cast it for 3 mana.
Or, late game you cast this Convoking a bit and then cast another spell that turn.
Yeah.
Cost reduction doesn't only matter for the first few turns, it's just most important then.
That's true. That will help you double spell later on. I'm gonna stick with C minus.
Okay. I'm going for D plus.
Okay.
So the flavor concept here, this is a knight riding a wolf. I've raised her since she was a pup, and she has raised me since I was a recruit. So, there's a theme here of, working together, community, friendship.
No.
That's the idea of Convoke on this.
No.
I think that's what they're going for.
I don't
You
think. No, because the wolf seems to be part of what's being summoned here.
No, you're summoning the knight.
Yeah, but the knight is riding around on the wolf. The wolf is part of the deal.
So either you pay extra for the wolf or you Convoke, and then that represents some of the creatures you already had out being the wolf.
The wolf is just carrying her out to the battlefield effectively. And it drops her off.
Well, yeah, I mean, if this were really a giant wolf and a knight attacking together, it'd be more than 2 power.
You're right. So that wolf is not sticking around.
Look how big that wolf is. That's like a horse-sized wolf, a big horse.
Okay.
That's really large for a wolf. Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't like this being a 2/4.
Because the two of them together would not be a 2/4, and the knight by itself would not be a 2/4.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe when they're working together, they fight more defensively because they want to keep each other out of danger. The important thing here is that knight and that wolf are the best of friends.
In terms of flavor,
I think this is classic fantasy concept of a knight riding an unusual animal for a knight to ride, but the card doesn't really have anything to do with that. I think Convoke would have worked just as well if this were a knight on a horse and they had this special bond.
This could have been anything. This could have been a giant owl. This could have been a 9-headed worm. It doesn't matter.
Well, if this were a giant owl, the flavor text would need to explain how the giant owl and the owl keepers had known each other for many years.
I think flavor is essentially irrelevant to this card. There's
so
it's now that said.
So what do we call that? A D?
Maybe, except as you point out, it's actually worse than that because even just the numbers, just the stats conflict with what we're looking at.
I'm going D minus here.
I think you're right with D minus. Yeah. Now, as far as
Okay.
design,
I mean, it's a vanilla creature that they've added Convoke to, which is a thing you can do pretty easily.
yeah, I'd give it a C minus.
That's why it's easy to design Convoke cards. Convoke can go on basically anything. I don't really see anything too interesting about the design here. Like maybe these particular stats are serving a useful role in this set as a whole, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, C minus here.
I'm gonna say D.
Okay.
I don't think there's any interesting design going on there. Next, we have Light of the Legion, 4 white for a 5/5 angel at rare, with flying, mentor, and when Light of the Legion dies, put a +1/+1 counter on each white creature you control.
All right.
So if this were 6 mana for a 5/5 with flying, that would be good and limited.
Yep. And then just keeps on better.
Yeah, it has a couple ways of getting +1/+1 counters on your other creatures.
Yeah, this is going to be a monster in limited.
Yeah.
Do you think this is this? I mean, are we in A range here for limited, or is it?
We might be, because yeah, I think if you play this, even if they immediately remove it, you're getting some value.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like automatically take over the game. I'd probably give it an A minus, but it's good.
It's pity that it's a pretty expensive card in a color that is trying to go fast more than most.
Hmm. What did you give it? Did you give it a rating yet?
Tempted to give it A minus.
That's what
if I'm exaggerating how good it is, but
I don't think
if your opponent plays this, you'd be pretty worried about how to deal with it. Yeah, A minus.
All right. Now, what's going on here in terms of flavor?
Well, this is a battle angel. Boros has a lot of them. So she is a battle angel who wants to train your soldiers.
Yeah, see.
And then if she dies, she gives one last lesson to everybody. Everybody white.
Yeah, I don't. So this is a case where mentor is just tossed on here. Like,
yeah,
I don't.
Like we're not. I mean, we have to assume from that this is an angel who likes teaching. Nothing else about the card is conveying that, though.
No, and it doesn't seem like that Angelica thing. Like, it's just whatever other random creature to go down and show it, what's going on.
Right.
It's clear. It's just arbitrary. I mean, any creature you can imagine telling another creature how to fight, but there's no particular reason why this creature is doing it.
There's not much reason why. Well, I guess Light of the Legion. Maybe that's why the death trigger is there.
It has some kind of magical essence or something.
Yeah, she dies, and then a glowing light comes out of her body and lights up the Legion.
Yeah, I feel like that's
fine.
Yeah, you can. That's a comprehensible angelic quality.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
it's a pity the art is just so generic.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen a
Boros
lot.
has had plenty of cards that art could have gone on interchangeably.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see like a picture of an angel teaching or inspiring someone.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, it's not like that's an unusual thing for them to do on card art either, but it would be a bit appropriate here. Yeah, flavor is not that interesting.
No, but I mean, not every
C minus. I mean, the death trigger's fine, and
well,
the idea for this is, hey, it's a big cool angel.
Yeah,
all works together for that.
That's the thing. Like for me, like that is something in itself. Like you take a card like Shivan Dragon, and to me that is
Big
that's
cool dragon, yeah.
yes. Even though it's very simple, like that's all it is.
Well,
So
but I mean that had the flavor of it breathing fire at a time when that
that's
was
true.
a new thing to establish.
But as far as an
But this
angel
we've got
goes,
all these particular abilities that aren't really implied by the concept of big cool angel.
mentor is the problem for me. So
Yes. Yeah, if it were just the flying into death trigger, I would have much less objection here.
so I mean, how much are we going to count on?
It's too many abilities for this to really be a clean concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's the worst. I could say C minus.
I think it's better than that. I mean, just the fact that it's appropriate, like I think puts it like better than most cards I see. Like it's a big flying creature and it's an angel. That's pretty good. It has a mentor problem, but I would give it a C plus.
Okay. I'm staying with C minus.
Fair
How
enough.
about for design?
I think our design runs into some of the same problems.
I mean, it's mentor, but and also some other way to get +1/+1 counters on your creatures. You can see what they're going for there.
You know what I think would have been cool is if it gave all your other creatures +1/+1 while it was on the battlefield, and then when it died, it gave them all a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah,
Or at
that'd be a
least
neat one. Oh, you know what I would like is if the conditions here matched up. When it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on an attacking creature with lesser power. Why not, when Light of the Legion dies, put +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with lesser power?
yeah, and that actually does when it's kind of put in that, like when it's not called mentor, and the idea is the angel is giving strength to weaker white creatures. Like that feels more angelic too.
It does. Yeah. Why didn't they do it like that? It's this caring about white creatures you control. I guess this being a multicolor set, they want to have some stuff that color matters, and this does have more creatures they'll put counters on in a white-red deck in the context of a set where you have a lot of gold cards.
Hmm.
It's not like half of your creatures will be white and half will be red. A bunch of them will be white and red. Or white and green or whatever.
But so I'm not giving the card
That's
any.
awkward.
I'm not giving the card any points or any leniency for the fact that mentor is the new keyword for this set, and so they want to stick it on stuff. Like that doesn't make it any better to me. This is still a bad combination of abilities.
Yes, they were closer to lining up. If instead of mentor it was whenever it attacks, put +1/+1 counter on a white creature.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to give this.
Or what lined it up even more? Whenever it attacks, put a counter on an attacking creature. Whenever it dies, put a counter on a dead creature.
Use tokens to represent counters. I'm going to give this a D plus for design.
Sounds fair.
Okay. What's next?
Next is Loxodon Restorer, and I need to step away for a moment. Can you review this one? I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, I'll talk solo about this one. Now, the Loxodon Restorer, this is 4 white for a 3/4 Elephant Cleric at common. That's a very high casting cost for 3/4, but luckily this has Convoke, which means your creatures can help cast the spell. And when Loxodon Restorer enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. 4 life is a significant amount of life to gain. Obviously, you wouldn't want a spell that just does that, but when you attach it to the back of a 3/4, That's a pretty big swing in your direction. You get a decent body, you get an uptick of 4 life. The question is, how much are you actually going to end up paying for this 6 mana card? If it cost 4 mana, like put aside the Convoke idea, if it just cost 4 mana, that would be a pretty solid card. 4 mana, 3/4, in limited. This is not a constructed card. That would be pretty solid at 4. At 5 mana, probably still okay and playable. So I think for this to be decent, to be played with Convoke, you don't need to be able to. You don't need to reduce the casting cost that much to make this good. Now, the thing to keep in mind is tapping creatures to pay the casting cost on this thing is not actually free. That is a real cost. You're removing blockers from the battlefield for a turn. You can't attack with those creatures that turn. You are paying a cost to use Convoke. Now, a relatively late game 3/4. I mean, I don't know how late in the game it's going to be, but this is not going to be hitting the battlefield quickly. It's a 3/4 body, and it gains you life when it comes into the battlefield. This is not an aggro card. So you're playing a defensive game here, and you're removing blockers to erect your defensive game here. Are you getting a net benefit from Convoke for, gaining some extra life?
All right, I'm back.
Okay.
All right, so we've reviewed Loxodon Restore.
I haven't finished, but we C minus C plus. Okay.
Okay. Oh wow, 6 mana. Okay, so next card. Yep. Need to go to the next page of results here. Luminous Bonds. Oh, this is a reprint.
Yeah.
2 and white for an enchantment aura. This is at common. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. So this is like Demotion, except the creature can still use its activated abilities, and it costs 2 mana more. But the creature can't attack.
Yeah, Luminous Bonds, effect we've seen many times before. Mm-hmm. It's always solid. This is you're going to play every copy of Luminous Bonds. Excuse me. I expect you're going to play every copy of Luminous Bonds you get within reason. It's going to be what, C plus, B minus?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for limited this is B minus.
Yeah, for limited. I don't think that this is Luminous Bonds played and constructed?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. Flavor.
Okay, so first thing I notice here is that the flavor text was written by somebody who really wanted them to print arrest instead. Because it is just an article from a handbook about arrest procedures.
Yeah, and that's odd. Why didn't they make this arrest?
Maybe they didn't want to shut down activate abilities because they already had that great idea for demotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should have been arrest. They had arrest in Return to Ravnica.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And they have this heavy arrest theme going on we've seen in a few other...
They're continuing that arrest theme here. They've tried to flavor this as an arrest.
Yeah,
but
don't call it arrest.
Yes, the art shows this big monster thing with glowy circles around it. Or not circles exactly, glowy whatever. Magic.
Luminous Bonds.
You could call them that, yeah. Yeah, the art does literally depict luminous bonds.
Yeah. But notwithstanding the fact that arrest probably would have been a better choice, I think the flavor on luminous bonds is just fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's I give it a C plus. Maybe. I'd give it a B minus.
It's a little interesting that the Azorius arresters apparently all have access to this glowy bondage magic. There's no just regular non-magic guys who get to arrest people.
Well,
or maybe they call those in whenever they're arresting somebody who's a giant monster with tentacles.
Yeah. I mean,
it could be if you're just going to arrest regular people, you don't need to be outfitted with a wand of luminous bonds.
Right. I mean, the arrest procedure thing just says you have to ensure proper restraint of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in every case are luminous bonds required.
That's true. Yeah, no, it's any and all arms, legs, and then it gets into weird things because this is a magical city with crazy stuff.
I think in terms of design, luminous bonds is a fine card too. I give it a B.
Sounds good. Sure. Pacifism for one more mana. Why not?
Mm.
Next card is Parhelion Patrol.
3 and white for a 2/3 human knight at common. Has flying and vigilance and mentor.
Okay.
Well, 2/3 flyer with vigilance at 3 white. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Seems okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you'd rather
3 toughness flyer. This attacks pretty well, and you want mentor to be on things that can attack repeatedly, right?
Yeah. Well,
I guess you're only putting the counters on things with 1 or less power.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This is not the ideal creature for mentor.
Yeah, that's interesting. 'Cause mentor, there's factors that make you want it on creatures with high toughness, and that make you want it on creatures with high power.
Mm-hmm.
High toughness means it can survive to mentor more often, but high power means it actually has targets.
All right, so how good is this thing?
I think it's okay. I think 4 mana for 2/3 flying vigilance is all right on its own. We've seen that card, haven't we, in Cons of Tarkir?
I don't remember. Maybe right.
Something Kyren. Go look that up. But I remember it being reasonably playable at that because it was helped by Morph was in the set, so 2/3s were pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think that's great here. I do think
Alabaster, Kyren.
Okay. I think if you get 1+1/+1 counter out of this, then you've done okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's an okay card. I think
you can have another mentor put a counter on this, and then it's able to mentor more effectively.
That's true. And how does that work? Can you?
Oh, you're going to have them all target something valid before any of the mentor triggers resolve.
Okay. I
think C.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Now, flavor.
Okay, so well, it's another flying knight.
Yeah.
And Parhelion is, of course, one of those bright spots of light in a circle around the sun. Interesting fact, we've never had a magic card about Parhelions before, but we have had a card about the lunar equivalent, Paraselene. That was a sorcery in Innistrad that destroyed enchantments. So what do you think of that flavor?
It seems not to contribute anything to the card.
Well, I mean, it contributes that this is something in the sky, like a parhelion. I guess the Boros have this kind of radiant light.
Yeah, and
idea
look,
going
it's flying. It checks out.
Yeah, and well, look at that light in the art. And also, this guy says, "Too many have disappeared in these dark days. I am the light that will lead them home." So, so the Parhelion Patrol is made up of people who like talking about being the light, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the flavor's not doing much here.
I hate Mentor. Here it is again. There's no particular.
Yeah, I don't really see why. Well, okay. This knight is using that light in the sky to lead people, but I don't know why that makes them bigger. Yeah, I don't think they captured the mentor flavor here as well as they have on other cards.
Well, look, Diane, the third member of our review crew has finally shown up. Sarah's here to help us evaluate the rest of these magic cards.
Hello.
Hi. So we've just finished up Parhelion Patrol, but we'll be moving on to Righteous Blow now.
I'm really looking forward to contributing my expertise.
We didn't finish up with grades on Parhelion.
Oh, that's right. We need a design grade for this. I mean, that's an interesting set of abilities to pair with Mentor. I think it's a good thing to have with Evasion.
But wait, we didn't grade flavor either. We got to grade flavor first.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, well, there's not much flavor here. It's a pity they wasted a good word like Parhelion on this.
I'm giving it a D.
D minus.
D minus. Wow.
What does Parhelion actually mean?
Oh, it's for the you know, sometimes there's like a glowy circle around the sun. It's one of the especially glowy lights along that circle.
Oh, okay.
It's like a sundog.
Okay,
got it. I think the sundog, is that the ring itself of light, or?
I don't know what a sundog
I thought that was like the flare part. The sundog was the flare, not 100%.
Anyway, the point is it's not doing much for this card. But in terms of design, I like this combination of keywords. Nothing too special.
As much as I dislike Mentor, I think these are interesting things to go with it. I would give it a C plus in terms of design.
Sure, that sounds fine.
All right.
Sarah, would you like to read this next card?
I'm not going to be able to read it on my phone, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. I'll read it to you.
Okay.
Sounds good. To our listeners. Righteous Blow. It's a single white mana for an instant at common. Righteous Blow deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. This one's another reprint. It was last seen in Avacyn Restored.
I think this seems like a pretty serviceable combat trick.
Oh yeah, it's white shock that only works on things in combat. And shock is a pretty good limited card. This is still pretty good.
Mm-hmm. What is it?
No, it's a little awkward that when you have some removal spell that's target blocking creature, it doesn't really do what you want in that you're attacking in, and when they block, they've still stopped the attack, even if you kill their blocker.
Yeah.
So for aggressive decks, it's a little worse than it looks. It's still good, though.
Yeah, you're still going to trade up a lot of the time with just 1 mana. Is this any better than a C, though?
I think this might be a C+.
Is it, though?
Yeah.
I'm just going to give it a C.
Fair. Let's see who wins. Now, in terms of flavor, this is somebody hitting someone else in combat righteously. Flavor text. The Golgari believe they should be given what they deserve. On this, we agree. That was said by Tajik of the Boros Legion. I mean, not too much to say about the flavor here. It's damaging somebody who's fighting. That works.
Right, which is just one of those core white identity things.
And the idea here is it's righteous because it's punishing somebody for getting into combat.
We should probably edit out the phrase.
Also getting into combat.
We should probably go back and edit out the phrase white identity from this video.
I was going to say.
To be clear, we mean the color identity in this children's card game.
I'm fine with the name and what it does. I wish it were more like a laser from heaven or something than just some guy.
You wish it were called Laser from Heaven?
No, the name is fine. Yeah. But I'm saying more like some kind of divine act than...
You don't think some guy with a sword can deliver a righteous blow?
No, he could.
I guess the art doesn't really show you how righteous he is. But trust me, he's really righteous.
Yeah, and since this doesn't relate to like a white creature or anything like that, I mean, you're the one delivering the righteous blow. What's so righteous about you?
Yeah, you can play this even when you have no creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have no creatures out, they attack you. You play this on their attacker, and some guy with a sword runs in, kills their creature, and then he's gone.
Yeah, I don't like that.
This is a spell that summons a guy with a sword, very briefly. He can get in exactly one righteous blow.
I like the heavens open up.
I mean, trying to have Magic cards make sense with the idea that you are a planeswalker is never something they've really committed to.
I don't know. I think that's a complicated issue, whether they did that in the early years. But in any case, like that's a small issue here, maybe.
I think this is a serviceable C.
Yeah, I think it's just fine. It's a C, that's fine.
All right, design grade. I mean, this is shock with a slight restriction to make it fit with another color. I think it's nice that they can do that. I think it's neat when they have like instant that deals 3 damage to target creature with flying in green.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of deal.
Yeah, I'm just fine with it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the color wheel, but it's fine.
It's kind of neat when different colors have slightly different spins on things.
It is. I'm not as enamored of like religious adherence to that, but it is. You do want the different colors to have more than just different flavor. You want them to be able to do different things. It's true. So no, I mean it's fine. What's that?
It's a C+. I'm saying C+.
I'd just give it a C.
Okay. All right, our next card is Rock Charger. That's Rock ROC for viewers who can't see the card images. 2 and a white for a 1/3 bird, uncommon. It has flying, and whenever Rock Charger attacks, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until end of turn. Huh? I mean, that seems decent. It has flying, gives your other stuff flying too. that's a way you can have your 1/1s get into combat and not immediately die, which is something that we've been seeing a lot of need for so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems okay.
Also receives mentor counters pretty easily.
That's true. It's a good target for mentor counters.
You've got like that 3/1 mentor creature. You can give it flying with this. It puts a counter on the rock. They work together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good combination.
That's nice synergy here. I also like that. Oh, yeah?
Oh, sorry. Well, let's stick to the card quality first. When we get to flavor, I'll have something else to say. But I think you're right that this plays well with the mentor mechanic and with other cards that we've seen.
I like that it can only target a second creature without flying, because it would be too powerful if you could give something double flying.
Yeah, why do you think they did that?
Well, with any card where there's what looks like a clunky, unnecessary restriction on what you can target, the reason for it is to make it less likely that someone will misclick on Magic Online or Magic Arena.
Oh, yeah.
Because it would feel bad if you attacked with this and a soldier and a bird, and you accidentally targeted the bird.
Gotcha. Okay. That's a little stupid, but you can't get too fired up about it. Okay. Now, in terms of flavor, like it seems okay, right?
Did we give this a playability grade?
Oh, no, we didn't.
I really like this one. I think I might want to go even higher than C+ on it. Is it crazy to give this a B-? Because I want to give it a B-.
I was just going to give it a C+, but you say that and it gives me some pause. I'm going to stick with C+ on this. I mean, I can see it comboing really well with some cards, but
I guess defense, it's nothing special.
Yeah. Well, it is really good to give one of your. Okay, we'll give it a B-.
Yeah, maybe I'm overestimating how much you're going to care about mentor when you're making your decks, but this seems like it fits with mentor so well.
Well, and even aside from that, it's just good to be able to give one of your creatures flying.
It is. I've had cards like that before, and they've always done well. Maybe not always, and probably we meant the more playable ones, but still, that's a strong fact.
Yeah. Remember how terrorizing Gustwalker was? That was just a creature that gave itself flying badly. And it was still a menace. Now, in terms of flavor, I got a little bit of a problem with a rock that's only a 1/3. Yeah.
Yes.
So
why isn't this a griffin? They have griffins on Ravnica.
Yeah, or a Pegasus, or just some other kind of goddamn bird.
We've had this attack trigger on a Pegasus before. Looks just fine.
So I don't know that I can give an exhaustive.
Yeah, even the art doesn't make it look like a rock. Rocks are way bigger than that.
Yeah, I mean it's supposed to.
You know, look at those hind legs. That actually looks a little bit like a griffin to me.
Yeah,
I guess it doesn't have the forelegs that a griffin would. Rock's innate fearlessness makes them ideal mounts for emergency response. You know how rocks are known for being docile mounts?
The traditional domesticated servants of the magic world.
It's the ambulance of the magic world.
Yeah, I think the flavor here is a miss. Also, wait, it's an emergency response thing. Okay, the flavor of the ability is just that somebody can ride it, right?
Yeah.
There's no emergency response spin on the card mechanically.
No, that would be more like if you're giving a blocking creature flying.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, flying in +0/+2 or something.
Yeah.
Not a great
So
to see on a card, but
I don't like the art because it doesn't look like a rock. I don't
No,
like the quote because it doesn't make sense, and I don't like it being called a rock because it doesn't have the body to go with a rock.
on the other hand, having this be a rock fits very well with its first ability, flying.
Yeah,
It doesn't fit so well with the rest of the card.
they did manage to pick a
several
flying
ways.
creature.
Yeah.
But this is a case where it's like
Let's change the name. Call it I don't know, giant eagle charger. Well, it doesn't look anything like an eagle, but
but that's whatever.
Giant magically distorted falcon charger. Make up the name of a type of bird and say that's a weird giant domesticated bird on Ravnica. They're not capturing a real thing or the mythical thing that is a rock.
Yeah, well, you don't have to say what kind of bird it is. Just call it like a Ravnican sky mount.
Avian charger.
Yeah.
They've done that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
It's not great.
It's better than calling it a rock.
Charging sky mount.
Listen.
There are plenty of lazy magic card names that would have worked here.
When this rock attacks you, it does as much damage as that witness that's running away. I can't remember what was it like.
Hunted witness.
Hunted witness. Yeah. Like this could take a little more damage, but it's putting up the same fight that hunted witness is.
Wow, this should not be rock. Okay. Do you think this is the sort of card where you should break out the F flavor grade?
No.
But it just shows completely the wrong flavor and done everything against it.
Well, the flavor is all messed up, but it all sort of revolves around them calling it a rock instead of.
That's true. It's just one mistake in there.
Right.
Swap out rock for any other bird, and you're fine.
I think we're definitely in D territory, but I don't think we need to go to F yet.
Yeah.
But given, and it's hard. I mean, they're so close to being reasonable. They just didn't have any respect for the rock.
Yeah, and this just needed to be some flying thing that you can ride. It didn't need to be like a gigantic thing you could ride.
I'm just going to give it a D, not even a D minus.
Okay. I'll give it a D minus. I'm annoyed.
Okay. Now, in terms of design, where we can disregard the fact that it's called a rock, I think it's much, much better.
Yeah. I don't like the templating on this target attacking creature without flying bit. I can see why they did it, but it just does not read well.
Yeah, I really like the way that this interacts with other cards, as you pointed out before. I think I first saw it and I was just kind of like, okay, it's some generic, whatever. But I think you're right that it's going to match up really well with other cards in the set, and I think it's pretty good. I think we're looking at least C plus, maybe.
I think B minus.
What's that?
I'm going B minus.
Okay.
Nothing hugely innovative here, but it all works together in this context very well.
Yeah, not every card needs to be super innovative, and this is a fairly simple, sensible, good card. Good card. Okay. Don't call it a rock. It's the Skyline Scout. Skyline Scout is a 2/1 human scout, common. It costs 1 and 1 white. And whenever Skyline Scout attacks, you may pay 1 and a white. If you do, it gains flying until end of turn.
So you mentioned Gustwalker. This is not quite that.
No, and I mean, so having a 2/1 flyer is a nice aggressive creature, but if you got to pay
2/1
2
flyer
mana,
for 2 would be good.
yeah, but
2/1
paying
flyer
2
for
mana
2 every turn.
and you can only do it on
you're not
attack.
always right. I mean, some turns maybe they don't leave back ground blockers that would stop this, so you don't always need to pay the 2 mana. Except, so, I mean, when they're deciding what to attack with and what to leave back to force you to pay mana for this to attack, they don't know what your plan for your next turn is. They have to kind of guess whether you'll be willing to pay 2 mana for it.
Yeah, that's true. Nevertheless.
Yeah, it's not great.
I think this caps out at C- for me. Like, I think that's the best I can see this being.
Yeah. This is going to be a late pick filler card for your deck. Sarah, what grade do you give it for playability?
I don't think I'm qualified to give grades.
Sorry. I should explain. For this set review, we added a 3rd grade to the mix, so we're grading everything on playability, flavor, and design.
Oh, that's sensible. Now, wait a minute. When you say for this review, does that mean you've done reviews in the past?
Yeah, we've reviewed every set of Magic cards so far.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's why we're so good at getting through this one.
Oh, okay. Good to know. I hope you're going to link to all those things in the thing.
Yeah, I think YouTube does that automatically.
Do they?
Yeah, it'll be recommended anyway. If somebody out there has made a playlist, that would be good. So, what do you think about the flavor here? This is some scout in a city who swings around on a rope and impresses angels.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, let me read you the flavor text. Sometimes an angel passes by and gives me a little nod, like, you're a daring one. And that always makes my day.
All right, that just put us down into D territory.
Yeah, I don't believe that this happens. Maybe the scout is lying. Or, I don't know, maybe the angels do that. There's a lot of angels on Ravnica.
I find that kind of appealing.
I don't really understand how this person's swinging around on these ropes.
What are they being hung from?
It's a Spider-Man sort of deal.
Okay. More like Attack on Titan, maybe.
Wow, look at how that rope is curved in there. Is this person weightless?
Some pretty odd contortions of that line.
Okay, so the concept here is this is a person who can do some cool parkour acrobatics, and that means sometimes they're flying. Like, if you want to represent a small creature with conditional flying, it seems reasonable for that to be a human who's good at doing stunts up in the air.
Yeah, okay. I get it. I mean, the flavor text is a real problem here, but
yes.
The question is, can this thing work its way up to a C-?
I think D+ is fine here.
Okay. I'm doing it a favor with that, but we'll let it go at D+.
Yeah. In terms of design, additionally evasive small creature, that's a reasonable thing to have.
Yeah, I think
it
only should have cost 1 white instead of 1 and a white. I don't think that would have been too powerful for common.
Do you think they're going for something with mirroring its casting cost? Like, Like whatever's involved in summoning it can also be used to. No, that doesn't make any sense.
No, maybe it is. Like you call like a blimp that lowers it out of the sky, and then when you want it to fly, you have to call the blimp back.
Oh, you know what's going on? The scout can fly through the air by like swinging off a rope and jumping. So it gets flying, but then it crashes and dies. So you're paying 1 to white to swap in a stunt double who will die doing that. Sign here, it's okay.
I'll give it a C minus.
I mean, you want your cheap aggro creatures to have some late game ability, and this one does. Late in the game, you don't mind paying the mana so much, so it's like you got a flying creature.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think the ability's just a little too expensive, but it's okay.
I'm gonna give it C minus.
Okay, that's where I am. C minus.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you ever give A's?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we gave Divine Visitation A's in 2 categories.
Oh wow. Okay.
It takes a lot to get there. Sunhome Stalwart.
Okay.
It's 1 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier at uncommon as first strike and mentor.
That's a pretty good fare.
Yep, 2/2 first strike for 2 is pretty good. Not even a double white casting cost.
Yeah.
And then mentors, it's not super great on a 2/2, but it's something.
Yeah, you play one of those random 1/1s on turn 1, play this on turn 2, turn 3 you're attacking with 2 2/2s.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I think you're getting your money's worth for a 2/2 out of this.
Yeah, I think in Limited, if you have one of these, you're always happy to play it in white.
Yeah, I think it's a C+.
It's a very good curve filler in a color that kind of wants that.
What do you think, grade-wise?
Yeah, C+ is good.
Now, what about the flavor?
Okay, so Sunhome is, of course, the guild hall of the Boros. So this soldier who has those big spiky helmets they like, and a giant... Oh, that sword has a Celestia sigil on it, doesn't it? That's interesting. Wait, is that what that is? Why would he be wielding a Celestian sword, though? This guy's clearly Boros.
Maybe
anyway,
he took it from... Whatever.
Anyway, he's saying, before I let you wield one of these, let's see you dodge one. So he is trading people.
Well,
and it's first strike because he'll attack you before he lets you attack.
Yeah, I mean, first strike is just something that,
First strike just this is a guy who's good at fighting.
Yes. So that seems fine.
Mentor, I don't know. I guess he is training people.
Yeah, I mean, I got a problem with mentor here, but I mean, it's mainly just a generic soldier guy. So I mean, I'll give him a C. I'm just fine. He's just fine.
I'm giving him a C minus.
That's fair. I mean, the mentor does take some points off, but I like a 2/2 knight. He's not a knight though. I wish they'd made him a human knight instead of a human soldier, but I guess that's not what's going on in this.
They tend to save knight for people who fight on mounts.
Oh,
it's an interesting decision, but
like that.
They have a line.
What was that guy who was riding on the?
On the wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a knight.
Okay, check that out. Okay. What about
Okay.
design?
Hmm.
I like a 2-mana 2/2 first strike, something that's kind of reminiscent of like White Knight and Black Knight. And
Yeah,
what was they just had those knights in it was in
like
Dominaria, right?
Knight of Infamy, or wait, was that Knight of Malice? The ones with hexproof from colors.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like I kind of
those
like
are good.
those. I kind of like this.
Mhm. I wish First Strike and Mentor had something to do with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, like
I mean, First Strike makes me think this is something where you might want to boost its power.
mhm.
Mentor makes me think you're not boosting this thing's power, you're boosting other stuff.
Yeah, you kind of want it to give first strike to the creature whose power it's boosting.
Oh, that would be cool.
So I don't think this is a great match of powers, but then at the same time, that's kind of in the tradition of the White Knight, Black Knight thing, where it's a
True.
2-mana 2/2 with a couple powers. So
It has First Strike because it's a knight, it has protection from black because it's white.
mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so this guy has First Strike because
Soul.
Sun Home, and it has Mentor because he's stalwart.
So it's not as good.
No.
But I mean, like White Knight, Black Knight, when it comes to flavor, they'd be pretty high. This is not that high, but I'd give this a C plus.
I'll give it a C.
Okay, you're probably right. I mean, Mentor is bad.
Well, but when the set's released and we've played with it a bit more, then we'll know what design grade it should have gotten.
Right. I'm not gonna play the set though.
Oh, I know.
Okay. All right. Next.
Sworn Companions. 2 and a white for a sorcery at common. Create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. Alright, so here's a way of getting 2 creatures with 1 card. It is good for Convoke.
Yeah, I mean,
Things that you can put mentor counters on pretty easily.
mhm.
You know, it's nice if the small things that you're putting your +1/+1 counters on have something like lifelink to go with them. Ixalan had, was it the same cost that vampire token making? What was that one called?
I don't remember.
Queen's Commission. Yeah, that was the same card, except the tokens were vampires instead of soldiers.
Mhm.
And that turned out to be a pretty good card, but played into a lot of vampire tribal synergies.
Yeah, there didn't seem to be any soldier human synergies in here.
Yeah, well, the tokens this makes are not humans.
That's true. They're just soldiers.
Yeah, they have no race.
They're just pure professionals. It seems fine. It seems like just a fine card. C. In terms of flavor, I guess we need to read this flavor text here. Let's see. The trouble with youths these days is that in outright defiance of their elders, they refuse to be bought. Karlov of the Ghost Council.
Okay, so that's somebody from the ruling body of the Orzhov, the White-Black Guild. So these people of art are sworn companions. They fight alongside each other even without, and nobody can change that by trying to buy them off. Right?
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, there's nothing in the card that particularly demonstrates how loyal they are.
they have lifelink. They're fighting brings you a renewed sense of purpose.
They link their very life with you.
They should be linking their lives with each other, right?
Yeah. They should.
But I mean, how are you going to convey that unless you have some really wordy ability about them preventing damage to each other or something?
Yeah. They should have them with their pinkies interlocked instead of their whole hands.
Oh, that would definitely improve the card.
Yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about here? Flavor?
Yeah. You know, I kind of like seeing flavor text that references the guilds that aren't in this set because, you know, we all know they're coming next set.
Yeah.
Good to remember that the stuff we're seeing in this set is still in the context of this plane with 10 guilds. I don't think there's much flavor going on here.
No, but I also think this is one of those cards that's just perfectly serviceable. It's just what it says it is. I mean, I'd give this a C. I think it's just fine.
Yeah. What does making companions look like? Well, it's like multiple creatures at once.
Yes.
Sure. Why not?
It's not as good as like dragon fodder. Like
no, well, yeah, that one was funny.
Yeah. In terms of design, again, I think it's just fine.
Yeah, it was fine design in Ixalan. It's fine design now.
So I give that a
maybe a bit. Yeah.
All right.
Take heart. Wait for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. You gain 1 life for each attacking creature you control. That's interesting. So it's a mini giant growth, which is fine, with a little rider that encourages you to be attacking. And attacking with lots of creatures.
Yeah, what's the point of that? Why tie this to the number of creatures you have attacking?
Like in terms of flavor?
In terms of anything, design, flavor.
I guess reward people for having a lot of tokens out, which plays into Celestia themes.
I don't know. I just feel like those two parts of the card don't combine.
Oh, no, this is two separate effects.
Yeah, and not even like, I don't know, two separate effects that demonstrate some kind of a trade-off or, I mean, I guess in a sense they do because you more often use a card like this defensively, I guess, in a sense. But if you use it offensively during an attack, you get a bonus of it. But I mean, if you're using it offensively, you'd probably rather have something that's going to deal more than 2 extra damage than something that gains your handful of life.
That can be enough to change how block is going to turn out. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you attack with a bunch of 1/1s. They block one of them with a 2/4, or better yet, a 3/3. You play this on the one blocked creature, gain a bit of life from the others. Although if you're going for like an aggro white weedy thing, gaining life isn't the ideal reward.
No, but okay. If we're just talking in terms of playability, it's 1 mana +2/+2. That's a decent combat check.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. I think that's.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be target attack creature. You can play this on blocks. You can play this on a main phase when they aim some removal at a creature.
I'm not giving this a lot of consideration for that life gain thing. I'm just seeing it as a cheap combat trick.
Imagine if this were target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, you gain 2 life. How would you feel about that?
I would actually like that better.
Yeah, it would be better, but that was a pretty good card when they made it.
Which card was that?
It was in Ixalan. It was I forget the name.
Anyway, I mean, so is it a C? Is this a C? Is it?
Sure.
Okay. Now,
Yeah, you're not going to want a lot of combat tricks like this in your deck, but having a cheap pump spells, I think you're happy to pick up one of those.
Yeah. There are a lot of these cheap one white mana spells that, you can help to plow through your opponent in your white meaty deck there. All right, flavor though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is, it's a picture of somebody praying and taking heart. In the quiet before battle, Boris soldiers whisper prayers that steady their nerves and focus their minds.
Yeah, that seems more like a sorcery speed effect, the way they describe it.
It is. Yeah, this is something that you want to do during the battle. So you've got some Boris soldiers attacking. The enemy ambushes them or tries some trick that'll turn the tide against them. And one of these soldiers takes heart and gets stronger, and you gain some life.
But see, when you gain the life, it makes it seem like you're taking heart.
Okay. Yeah, but you're giving your creature +2/+2.
I know. I guess you're both taking heart.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's it. Everybody gets to take heart, except those other creatures.
We should have called it take hearts. Take heart. I don't think taking heart is a good description of getting stronger and taking more damage.
No. Is it a good description of praying before a battle?
Yeah.
Like, would you call that take heart?
No, even that you wouldn't say it's taking heart, I don't think.
No.
All right. So flavor's bad.
D?
D. Not a D minus, just a D.
Yeah, this doesn't really match up well. It feels like they didn't think about the idea of what this card represents too long.
Design, I think, is a mess.
Yeah, it's just a couple things stapled together. You expect to see cards with two things stapled together in a gold-themed set, but this is on a monocolored card. On a little common combat trick. There's no need for this.
No, they wanted to do something a little different than what they had done before, and they wanted to have a little bonus on top of the +2/+2, and they just did not nail it with this thing.
Yeah.
That said, it's not like that makes this the worst card in the world, but it's not good.
We're agreed there.
I would just give it a D plus though. I have a feeling you're going to go D.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Next card is 10th District Guard. 1 to white for a 2/2 human soldier at common. When 10th District Guard enters the battlefield, target creature gets +0/+1 until end of turn. Okay, so on its own, this is a 2/3 for 2 until end of turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know about this.
They just seem to be reaching for we want to give you a 2/2 for 2 with just the littlest bit of something extra.
Yeah.
You can't get too much lower than this.
It's 2/2 for 2, and also this turn, that other 2/2 can attack like a 2/3.
This is close to like when this enters the battlefield, gain 1 life territory, you know? Like that's.
Sometimes you're able to get away with an attack that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise because of this.
True.
Not too often, but it'll happen.
Yeah, I guess you kind of have to play with this to see how often it's going to help you push through an extra attack.
I think the problem here is just 2 mana for 2/2 isn't that good anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you want to keep the pressure on if you're doing the white weenie thing, and I think you're definitely only interested in this card in the white weenie thing. Like, it's if
at least it's a 2 drop.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking C minus.
Yeah, or maybe
even lower.
I mean, this is not as good as that Skyline Scout. I don't think.
You're right. Give that a C minus on playability.
I mean, it might not be so far behind it that this drops down to D plus, but it might be. It's probably in the C minus territory too. I'll give it a C minus. Okay. But I do think it's behind Skyline Scout.
Yeah. In terms of flavor, this is a guard.
Has always been my home. The city is constantly embroiled in one crisis or another, but I'm determined to protect my peace.
Yeah, there's that hometown pride about 10th district.
It lasts until end of turn.
You keep the guard around.
It takes one turn for her to realize she's no longer in the 10th district.
Okay, so she's guarding her district by making someone else tougher for a little bit. I guess help out the defenders, except this is a pump only for attacking. She's defending the district by keeping attackers alive so that they'll be around later.
When you summon her, she confuses one of your creatures for the 10th district. I don't think there's any flavor here to speak of.
No, and flavor here is random soldier. She protects a creature. That's basically guarding, right? She's a guard.
Yeah.
D plus.
D plus, that's fair.
All right, design. I don't like it.
No,
plus
but
0,
I'm not going
to go. One is such a small thing. I don't see the point.
No, but I'm not going to go lower than D plus. I mean, it's clear that they're just trying to say, here's the smallest possible bonus on your 2/2 for 2, and they accomplished that. And I don't think it's a great idea, but it's not the worst.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, our next card is Venerated Loxodon. Oh, it's a rare.
What does this one do?
It's 4 to white for a 4/4 Elephant Cleric. That rare. It has Convoke, so you don't have to pay that full 5 mana. And when Venerated Loxodon enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that convoked it.
Is this the first time that Convoked
I think so.
has been used in that way?
I believe so.
So I think this is a pretty powerful card. I mean, it's not game-breaking, but like...
No, if you've got 3 creatures out, then this is 2 mana, tap all your creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on each of them, and you get a 4/4.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And sometimes you're going to want to make your creatures bigger and attack with them. This doesn't really help with that.
No, but it's, I mean, if it were just a 4/4 for 5 mana with Convoke, that's decent, because 5 mana for a 4/4 is just about on rate. Not for a great creature, but like for like a mediocre creature. And then giving it Convoke means you can get it out faster. And then the upside is pretty solid. it kind of rewards you for tapping your creatures, so that
And
tapping
also,
them is more like a bonus than a cost.
if you're tapping down your creatures to make them bigger, it's nice that you've got this 4/4 blocker, so you're not completely leaving yourself open.
Uh-huh.
You can also choose how many creatures you want to tap for. You can leave up another one to block with if you want. You can attack with some other ones that turn.
Yeah, I think this is pretty solid. I think it's is in B territory. I just don't know where to put it.
Yeah, I don't think it gets up to B plus. I don't think it's doing that much. I think straight B.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. It's B.
Sure. Next, the flavor of this. So it's a loxodon. It's the elephant people.
I think you lose points right off the bat for it being a loxodon.
But Ravnica's always had loxodons.
Yeah, it's not to its credit.
Okay, but this one is venerated. Look at the art. Look at those people kneeling around there, receiving the elephant blessing.
This is a bit of a side note, but okay, if a species evolved to stand on two legs and have hands, it wouldn't need a prehensile nose, okay? There's no reason why this thing has an elephant head. It doesn't need a trunk. It has hands.
Well, maybe the trunk evolved first.
And
Then why did the hands evolve?
Well, they needed something better.
It is a weird coincidence that this would have the head of an elephant and the hands of a human. It's strange when these fantasy creatures combine two different animals.
Anyway, the loxodon. Okay, wait. It's a thing, and it's blessing the things that are summoning it. Seems
okay, so this is a wise cleric who puts +1/+1 counters on people. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think
matches. People like kneel when it comes in and receive power. I feel like this captures the idea of veneration.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, B minus even.
I'm gonna go. Well, it is a loxodon.
That's right.
Okay, now
Well,
I'm gonna give it.
Is that really any worse than a minotaur?
No.
Well, I think it's worse than a minotaur, just because there's a cultural context within which the minotaur is kind of cool. But like when you just start sticking elephant heads on people, then it's I don't know. Seems a little undignified.
So I mean, there is a cultural context around that, but not one that I think Wizards wants to go for here.
No, and even like Lord Ganesh.
Religion.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna say B though. I think this is one of the better uses of convoke, and I think it makes sense both that like the creatures are sort of convoking to summon it, and that they're then getting a benefit from the loxodon when it appears. So I like that.
Makes sense. Now that was our flavor grade, right? We have the design grade. This is the first card where they've had this thing calling out the creatures that convoked. I think there's been cards in the past where it's like when this comes into play, something tapped creatures. But they haven't done one like selecting the ones that convoked specifically. I think it's a neat thing to do. I like it when they can get little bits of terminology like that.
Yeah, I think this is. I like the design on this. I'm gonna go B plus on design.
I'm gonna go A minus.
reasonable. It's a good design. All right. Well, we got to be getting close to the end here.
Yeah, that is the last mono white card. So,
Oh.
How about we end the video here, and we can continue with blue in part 2 of our Guilds of Ravnica set review.
All right. So, thank you for staying with us throughout these 5 hours.
Yeah, I know it's going a little slower than usual as we get used to our new grading system, but I think you'll all agree that it's worth it.
Yeah, it's not like there's a bunch of filler in here or something. This is all pretty worthwhile conversation about these cards. You know, there's just a lot to say about them. So, all right.
Oh, yeah, it's an interesting set.
Yeah, we'll be back with you soon for part 2. Thanks.